there if you assume like that only Christians or only Muslims go. So no matter what faith tradition you have, that's like the majority population.
It's me.
Hey, Freak.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. So like I've heard that concept. I just didn't know that's what it was. That's what it was labeled as. I think like another question is like the animal side of it. Like, do you if
Yeah.
you think animals go there? You know, how many billions of insects are going to be there? Is that somewhere I want to be? You know. What's up, the freak?
It's me.
How you doing today, buddy?
Yeah, not too much. Hey, were you there till the end of my little
Here.
Spurg rant on Melchizedek yesterday?
Dude, I was there for a lot of it, but then I started to get busy at work, so uh, I had to
Let's go.
focus on what was going on.
So what's the exact topic here, people?
Well, we're gonna address. I think we're saying is heaven real or not. I think that's the basic topic, but we're just gonna kind of take it where it goes.
Cool. All right, guys. So keep in mind, this is a standard bloodbath. If you hate what they're saying and you want to get added to the conversation, you can push yourself in for $25. You can remove either debater for $25. You can mute panelists for $1 a minute. Cancel for the same price. Let's have this be a good, clean bloodbath. Let's try to avoid the low blows. With that, there's going to be very minimal moderation. So let's get started here, and let's not try to personally insult each other more than we have to.
Cool. So the freak, I guess let's start. A good way to start this would kind of introduce what you think heaven is.
Well, I think heaven is the place that you go when you're judged as worthy of the kingdom of God, as righteous, and you'll be in the light as opposed to the darkness. And it's an eternal realm that all options are going to be available to, especially those that are in Jesus Christ. Uh, and you only have basically, God to answer to.
Okay, so is it it's a non-physical place in your beliefs?
It definitely is in the spiritual realm, but the spirit realm also, you can manifest physical things, and there are physical places, but generally in the spirit realm of heaven, it's definitely not physical. It's spiritual.
Okay, so it's not like there's no. I guess you're saying that you can make it physical if that's what you want. Is that what you're saying? I guess I'm trying kind of unclear on that.
I don't. I kid, but I don't kid that. A lot of times the way I describe it is if you put trust and faith and accept Jesus Christ, then you get Q status in heaven. I don't know if you know who Q is from the Next Generation of Star Trek, but
No,
literally,
I don't. I'm sorry.
okay, pretty much uh, he's almost like a godlike character. Of course, he has to answer to the continuum, but he can pretty much like do whatever he wants, and so that's kind of the status you have as a believer in Jesus Christ in heaven.
Hold on, I just lost connection.
So
Hello.
it's a pretty big deal, like you literally submit to the authority of God by accepting Jesus Christ, and you literally gain Q status in heaven for eternity. You know, you have one boss forever, and that's to me that's a no brainer. It's a good deal.
Gotcha. So do you keep your identity when you go into heaven?
Yes,
So you completely keep your identity?
if you accept Jesus Christ, you go as yourself. Yes.
Okay, so can I pose a hypothetical to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are serial killers who repent and then they get to go into heaven, right?
Presumably, yes.
Well, yeah, like if you read the books, if you repent, you do the works, there's forgiveness within Jesus, so then you get into heaven, right?
Right. There's also ranks and positions of authority as well. There's even more. There's even more distinction of rank and authority in the kingdom of God.
Okay, so you're saying they would be like a lower rank than everybody else, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Um, the question is though is if they don't lose their identity, they still don't choose to like harm other people, right? But they still have horrible thoughts in their head. I'm not sure that I want to be in a heaven where that's allowed. But then at the same time, I have to ask the question that if heaven you get to keep your identity, if you don't get to keep your identity, then that asks a lot more questions towards heaven because I think there's a lot of questions there where not keeping your identity, what's kind of the point of that? Wouldn't that just mean that there's no actual like heaven? It's just that you become God.
No, you keep your identity, and in terms of like evil thoughts or whatever. When you're in heaven, you're in the light of God. You're in the presence of God. You're in the love of God. And so, if even if you have, say, like a sinful thought, you might have it for a split, like half a nanosecond, but then the love of God, it kind of just, it kind of by like a default or just by a mood setting, I don't know, a room mood setting, just kind of just trickles out of your head.
So so then if that's the case, if God is just eliminating like the sinful thoughts whenever you're in heaven, or I guess you can still have it for a split second, isn't that still kind of like a level of eliminating your identity?
Not really, because it's actually a choice that you make. Because it's when you're basically surrounded by like love, God's love, and you have a sinful thought, you choose to purge the thought from your own mind.
I got you. So you're saying that basically, if you're in heaven, you would already be on the basis of wanting to get rid of those things, and then being in God's presence would just help move that forward faster.
Yeah, so like that would be the default position. Would be like oh loving God, loving your fellow mankind, loving whatever, creating. But then if something did pop in your head, the fact that you're still surrounded in the love of God would just you would choose the love of God and purge that thought out of your head.
Okay, so I got a question for you. If somebody's whole identity is, let's say, smoking cigars, is that if they go to heaven, is God gonna take smoking cigars away from them?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, I don't. That's kind of a strange, identity, but we'll roll with it. Like you probably be
Well,
able
like
to
it's a
kind of
hobby.
like,
Like
yeah,
it's
no,
like a
I'm
hobby
sure.
that people take serious and invest a bunch of money in, and
Yeah,
chase
it's yeah,
different flavors.
yeah, sure.
So,
I don't think it would be taken away from you. I don't think like you could probably smoke like a spiritual cigar because it also talks about like in the Quran and whatnot that you'll drink wine, but it doesn't get you drunk. Uh, you'll have
but isn't
food,
the
you're able
point to
to.
get drunk?
Well, but the thing is, when you're in God's love, you're already kind of love drunk.
Okay,
you
so
can't get you
so
can't get
heaven's
higher
gonna
than
be
God.
like a ecstasy. So the heaven's gonna be like a ecstasy
Right.
then.
And you can't get higher than God. So like that feeling of the love of God is the greatest, more than any kind of like you know chemically induced thing that we could ever find on the earth.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. So the next question I had to ask you is, like, if you have somebody you deeply care about that doesn't believe in God, are they gonna be in heaven?
If they're judged righteous, yes.
If they're judged, but the doesn't the Bible say that like faith is like the biggest component? Like you have
It,
to believe.
I mean, faith gets you. Faith is gains a lot for you. Yes, faith in Christ gains the dismissal of the judgment of your flesh for you. But otherwise, you still have to be judged. You still have to be judged objectively, and so just having no faith or not believing doesn't get you directly to hell. You have judgment comes before hell, right? So you have to basically judge yourself or judge God. God judge you that you're not worthy of the kingdom, and then you'll be sent wherever you're supposed to be.
So you're saying that you believe non-believers can go to heaven.
Yeah, if they're judged righteously, I do believe that. Yes.
So you believe that there's believers that won't go to heaven then.
Yeah, I think there will be a lot of people that think that they're going, just like, the one verse says, Lord, we prophesied in your name and did this and did that. And he'll say, I never knew you, because, yeah, they might profess Jesus Christ, but they don't know the heart of the Lord. They don't know who he actually really is.
Well, isn't that a little contradictory though? Because wouldn't it then just be more meaningful to not even have the concept of the book, not even have the concept of heaven, just don't believe in God and live a good life, and you'll still go to heaven? And I'm pretty sure the Bible says it explicitly. I mean, I wouldn't. The reason I can't say it for sure, I know it says this. I'm pretty sure it does. Is I can't give you the verse, but I'm pretty sure it says if you don't believe, it's no way, no, you're no good to go.
It might be in there, but I can tell you that it wouldn't be. How could God be a just judge if that were the case? Like, he still has to judge your flesh, um,
Well,
and
of course, I have that same question, right? I am pretty sure the Bible does say that if you don't believe, you're going to go to hell, regardless of if you're a good person or not. Now, I don't know the verse, so I can't quote that to you, but that's always been a contention I've had with God in general is like, if somebody's a good person, they just don't believe, I view that as they should be able to go to heaven, but the books don't say that.
right. Basically, judgment comes before hell. You don't just die and go to hell. You're going to be judged before and deemed worthy of hell before you go to hell.
So is judgment like a conversation with God then?
It's a conversation with everyone in your whole life.
Well, because he should be all knowing, right?
Right.
So it would kind of be like a instantaneous process, right? Other than maybe like him conversating with you.
It's going to be instantaneous, and it's going to be a long, drawn out review of your whole life. Unfortunately, it's both
So
actually. That's the nature of the eternal realm.
we'll see that. We'll see that. That's directly a contradiction. So that now I just want to make sure that we're getting to like a view that makes sense, right? You can't that it's just contradictory. You can't say like, okay, you get judged instantaneously. He has all the information to know everything to send you to heaven or not send you to heaven, and that he doesn't have a preconceived notion, but also your judgment, you're not going to have a say. Like if you don't have a say or if you're not doing anything within that, and he's just showing you your life, well then he already knew where you were going to go. Having a specific period of judgment in between heaven or hell kind of doesn't make sense.
Well, that's the nature of nonlinear time. And so when the horn is blown and we're all assembled before him, that judgment is going to be like the instantaneous judgment of like the mass of humanity and separation. But your individual judgment, you'll be hashing it out between all the people in your life and your testimony and what they were thinking and what you were thinking. and a lot of it is based on intent of the judgment of the situations and whatnot of our lives, and so both, both of those will be the scenarios that we will that God will make a reality of.
So you're okay. Let's backtrack a little bit here. Okay, because I asked you a second ago that if like a serial killer repents and everything and all this, then they should get into heaven. And I feel like this argument defeats that for you. So you kind of like, to me, let's address that, because that was the issue I had with heaven. Is like, I don't want to be up there with somebody that's, you know, fantasizing about killing me. He just can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's an uncomfortable place, right? So the idea now is that you're saying, well, it doesn't matter. He was a horrible person. Even if he believes in God, does repent, all this stuff, he would still go to hell.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Let's just take that real quick. Just separate that guy's testimony and what the likely case will be. So, he does all that bad stuff, whatever, repents. Last, like, bedside repentance, whatever. He's accepted, and
Well, let's not say it's bedside, because a lot of these guys get locked up. Like, a lot of these guys that get caught, they get locked up, and then they say they find God and everything. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I'm not right or
okay.
wrong,
Uh,
true or not, but it's not like a
Pre-injection,
last minute. They're not like,
okay, pre-injection
yeah,
repentance,
pre-injection.
and
I'll give
then
you that. Sorry.
all right. That's all right. So, so he squeaks in, right, and is accepted by God, and uh, you don't have to worry about him like having secret thoughts of wanting to murder you, because, like I said before, when you're into the light of God's love, you don't have those sinful thoughts at all. Like, they might enter real quick, but they purge out pretty. I mean, it's almost like, a PC chip microcycle of, a micro nanosecond of time. So
Well, it
that won't
seems
be an
like you're
issue.
kind of it
Well,
seems like
hold
you're
on.
kind of special pleading right now. Hold, let me put it
This
together
is
real
all
quick for
based
you.
on what I.
You're
This is all based on what I know, what I saw. So, like,
yeah.
unless
I'm
someone
not. It's
else.
not a god. It's not a gotcha to freak. I'm just putting it
I
this way,
know.
okay?
Yeah, I
It's
know.
not a
Let me
gotcha,
finish.
dude. Calm down.
I know it's not. I know it's not. Let me just finish
You're saying the people
the
you care
hypothetical.
about that don't believe are gonna
Hold
get
on, you're
in.
gish galloping around now. Just relax. Just relax. Let me finish that scenario,
No,
because
it
otherwise you're going to
it
keep asking.
directly correlates.
You're going to keep
Okay,
asking, and we're
sorry.
going to end up here again if you don't let me finish, because
Okay.
you know. Okay, so he's going to end up being, say, like the janitor of heaven or whatever, and he's going to be a very low ranking, having zero or like little light of it as part of his being as anybody. Okay, let's just take it like Adolf or something. Okay, let's just say that was him. So everyone is going to be able to basically tell him what to do, because he's going to have zero authority. And not only that, there's also recompense at heaven. So, like, if there was injustice that was done here that was never resolved, the recompense or the justice will be served in heaven. So, like, you'll have to give up something in order to appease the people that you hurt.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
finished
so
up.
then what? Like, you're saying then this plays back to the levels within the heaven is what, and I can see that now. I get where you were going with that, and I'm sorry that I was trying to interrupt. So then the people who didn't believe, that lived a good life, are they above the serial killer who actually lived the works and got in?
That's kind of, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the nuance of that, but I would assume so. I would
So
assume
you
having
would
a
think
better
that,
heart for most of your life is better than squeaking in on a squeaker, shank puck shot.
but you could be on just even levels too.
The thing is, if you like were a hardcore, deleter of people, you're destroying what God created. That's very weighty in the judgment of God. So if you were a good person and like your worst sin was committing adultery or something, your flesh is probably going to put you at a higher rank than that person, even though they squeaked in.
Okay, I got you. So let me ask you this, okay? If, for instance, like let's say I live a good life, so I'm going to get into heaven, right? And there's preachers who live their whole lives. Preachers can still get married, right? It's priests who can't get married.
I think that's the case. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I just don't want to mix it up. So you're a preacher your whole life, okay? And then you have to kill somebody. Like you're in a situation like they're gonna harm your wife or something like that. You have to kill somebody. And then you have somebody like me who has just lived a whole good life, but I don't believe in God. Then on the scale that you're saying, that guy took lives, but he preached his whole life, but he took a life, he harmed God's creation. So wouldn't that put him below me?
Actually, probably not, because if it was self-defense, that would be a justified. That would be
Well, let's
justified.
say his wife wasn't going to die. Let's say the guy's going to punch his wife. I know it might
Okay.
not be justified that a preacher shoots somebody over that, but let's give it
Yeah.
let's give it
Okay.
a little guts for the hypothetical. You see what I'm
Or
saying? Like,
how about this? How about he was drunk and he manslaughtered somebody on the road or something by accident,
yeah, you
right?
know what? That's a good representation because it's still his own actions. Like he made the choice to get drunk, get in the car, and drive. So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's a more clean representation of what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Good. I think there's another variable in that equation, and that is if he led a good, how many souls he led to the Lord that actually are accepted into the kingdom. So souls are like about the most valuable thing to God. And so if he was able to lead souls to the Lord and they, were retained by him, in other words, they, went to heaven and stuff, then he's still going to have treasure built up enough to outrank you.
So wouldn't a killer that converted in prison and converted others have that same kind of like credit or currency? I'm not trying
Yeah.
to equate it to money, but so
It,
then
it
that would
yeah,
technically put them above me,
it possibly
and
could,
that's
it possibly
so. Do I
could.
want
That's the
a
variable.
murderer to be telling me what to do in the afterlife?
Possibly.
That doesn't. That does not sound. That doesn't
Well,
sound.
let's just say if that guy deleted some one person, but then he saved three souls, that's a net of two souls. That's better than
Yeah.
any that you. That's better than the
Yeah.
one that
Yeah.
you're bringing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would
So
agree.
that's just the math.
Yeah. So for me, right, I've lived a good life. I generally don't harm people around me. I generally try to help the people around me out. Um, then I'm going to go to this afterlife and I'm going to be subjugated by somebody who did awful things in this world, but convinced people of an idea. And then that's what made them better than me.
Well, let's just say in that scenario, the guy deleted one person, but he saved three souls, okay, by leading
Yeah.
them to Christ. Okay. So that's a net of two souls, of three souls that he's taking to the Lord, and you are taking yourself to the Lord. That's basically a plus two for him.
Yeah. 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 I got you. I'm just saying, like, to me, it's like, isn't it kind of hard to like tell some like you're telling me that I should or not? You don't really tell me, like you're not really an evangelical from what I've seen, but most Christians, like, isn't it kind of weird that you would push the idea that I should believe in a heaven if the heaven is going to be where I'm subjugated by like a killer?
Well, I mean, you say subjugated, like that is what people are trying to do in heaven. And really, the only thing that you want to do in heaven is do good, create, love God, and love fellow mankind. So even if someone is above you, they're not going to be shit-ing on you all day, like they would in hell. They'll
Well,
want
you
to,
said it.
engage you in a positive way.
you said it was a hierarchy, so you said like they would be like a janitor. So what? I mean, like if they're the janitor and then I'm below them, am I like the sidewalk? You know what I'm saying? Like
No.
that's what I'm kind of asking you, because like if there's a janitor, there has to be somebody that tells him who where to clean. So the supervisor of the janitor in heaven would be somebody who's godly and followed it and lived a good life. So then they would tell the serial killer what to do, who saved a couple of souls. Then the serial killer who saved a couple souls will tell the atheist who didn't save any souls what to do. You see what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like the map I'm getting right now, and you can clarify it if you want, but that's
It's
where
sort
we're kind of at. I feel like.
It's sort of like if you had a lantern with a little fire in it or whatever, and you were that lantern of fire, versus going into a forest blaze. That light is brighter than yours and will consume yours if it wants to, or if it wants to, or if it has to, I guess. But that doesn't mean that like
Well,
the
okay,
people in heaven are going to want to subjugate you and boss you around like that. The intent is not like that.
okay, but what if, let's say this, okay? What if that is I've got two kind of things that can talk kind of to the point that we're talking about right now, and I don't want to lose them. But the first thing I'm going to say is like, what if somebody's whole like want in their life is to tell what people what to do? Because the Bible doesn't really say like if somebody's willing to listen to you, you shouldn't tell them what to do. Like the Bible doesn't have anything explicitly against like telling somebody what to do if they want to listen to it or they need to be told what to do. So like if that's somebody's like thing that's like their bliss is like being in charge of things, right? And then they go to heaven, they would have to have people to be in charge of. There's not like a otherwise it's not their heaven.
Howdy, drink a fly potion and fly up.
Um, I'm looking up a verse right now that will address this. So, what's your other point?
And then the other point I was going to say is to go into this point of the maybe not subjugation and maybe that's the wrong word to use, but it's like telling somebody what to do, having control over another person or having influence over them, right? Then the other perspective is if you do you think animals like dogs, cats, all that get into heaven?
Yeah, I mean, there's a verse in the Quran that says basically, don't worry about the animals that you present
Okay,
as
so
sacrifice or whatever, because they
so
have
like
their own Lord
lions.
that they have. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I'm
like
sorry, what?
lions will be in heaven and they like to eat meat. I don't want to see other animals getting devoured all the time, but that's their heaven. You know what I'm
Right. Well,
saying?
the Bible, yeah, the Bible
Like are
actually
you gonna
addresses that.
well like
Um,
you would have to strip the whole identity of the lion away. You know what I'm saying?
but
Like
that was the
it's
original. Yeah, that was the original creation. Was they weren't eating meat or whatnot. They were eating straw or grazing like the other animals that don't
but
harm
then
other
like
animals. The
then
fall is what
separate
caused
from
that.
this, I went down the wrong path with this. The point I was going to get at with asking if animals make it is like my dog, right? Like my dog is going to go into heaven with me. Or like if I believed in heaven, that's the way I would have to view it. Like I wouldn't be able to view it where I didn't have my pets. You know what I'm saying? So when I view it that way, though, what if internally, like my pet is like, dude, this guy is awful. I hate him. He's controlling me. He's keeping me captive. And then, like, I get to heaven, and it's like your dog's heaven is without you, and my heaven is, with my dog. How does that reconcile?
I would say that it would, unless both parties are consensual, then it wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, so then I wouldn't have my pets in heaven, and that's not heaven to me. In fact, that'd be kind of worse.
Well,
Like
you can
I
also.
would that would be kind of worse for me is like dang to find out after all those years of like thinking this was my best friend it didn't even want me like you know what I'm saying because you said we keep our identity.
Yeah, well, that could be part of your judgment as well. Like you could be in heaven and still have that sorrow if your dog came up to you and said, "You suck, bye." You know,
So there's still sorrow in heaven.
I mean, you'll have a remnants of the attachment and the loss, but you could also, if you know, you could basically fabricate kind of your own new dog, like and just replace him.
See, and like, well, that for me, that doesn't do it, right? Like, because the things that are like meaningful to me is because of the experiences I've had with them and the time I've spent with them. So it's like if I go to
Yeah, but
heaven,
that
like,
would
yeah, I
be
can.
what you're saying though is actual subjugation. You would be subjugating your dog that doesn't want you to accept you, right?
Well,
So
I
you're
want
the
my.
subjugator in that scenario.
Yeah, I would have to be the subjugator. That's what I'm saying. Is like, and I don't think that that's like an ideal heaven. Like, if there's a heaven where I can tell another creature what to do, is that's not really heaven.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, unless there was a consensual agreement that you wanted to still
Yeah.
stay in that relationship, right? Then it wouldn't be a thing. Like he would go his own way, and you would be wanting to do something else or whatever.
Well, no, I still would want like just because I say that it's more reasonable for in heaven for the dog to get what it wants and I get what I want, it doesn't mean that the want for me to be with my dog goes away. So then within heaven, I'm in a constant sadness, which you're saying, okay, make a new dog. But the idea of heaven to me is supposed to be like the culmination of everything good into this world. And I think that's kind of what you were saying, right? So then now what I'm slowly seeing as we ask these questions is where I'm starting to see where like, well, you lose some bad, but then you also lose some good, but you keep your identity still. I'm trying to see like how much of you is stripped away, and then how much like because you're saying there's levels, like what levels tell what levels to do what. It's like I can't subjugate this animal because that wouldn't be right in heaven's eyes, but it's not heaven without that animal. Like I didn't know the animal hated me. I don't have that information here on earth, but I would have it in heaven, and that would make me feel guilty and horrible about what I did to it on earth, sitting here in a delusion saying, oh, like, you love me so much, and like this dog hated me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's just,
That would
there's a lot of,
probably be
it, like, there's potholes all over the place, and I feel like, uh, it's just, you have to either strip the identity away in heaven, or you like you're running into these problems, right?
well. I mean, I think here's the thing. Like a lot of that stuff that you're talking about is going to be hashed out during your like. Remember, I told you your life review judgment. That would be hashed out during your life review judgment. At that point, you're either going to accept the freedom and the independence of your dog and let him go, or you're going to fabricate a new one and be happy with that.
Gotcha, I see. So you're saying that like once you get to that point in heaven, there's no longer trauma or anything at all. You're just gonna immediately say like that didn't matter to me anymore, write it off and move on.
Well, it'll matter because you'll feel it in your heart, and it'll help you grow in your heart. But you won't be able to change that testimony. But what you will be
But
able to
what am
do
I
is be
growing
better
for?
going forward.
What am I growing for? I thought heaven was kind of the last. That was like you lived the earth experience and you did the right stuff here so you could get into heaven, and then heaven was the ultimate experience.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But also, it says that there's going to be new books opened. There's going to be new things that we are going to be commissioned to do. So it doesn't just end. Start there and end there. Like there's gonna be stuff that we're doing and learning. Constantly throughout eternity.
So you're saying like it's like Earth 2.0 basically.
Um, I mean, Earth is kind of like the home base. I guess you could say, but it goes well beyond just the Earth.
So the thing for me is that heaven is a core tenet. I feel like in the Christian faith or in a lot of the Abrahamic faith, heaven is a core tenet. I don't think a lot of Jewish people don't believe in heaven, right? I think that's like a sect of Judaism, but a lot of the Abrahamic faiths, heaven is a big core tenet of it. So the question I have is like this. So far, I don't feel like I'm getting like a coherent view because like heaven for me, like if I were trying to envision this thing called heaven, it's like I have all my loved ones, I have everything I ever cared about, I have the things I love to do, the things that I enjoy to do. I'm not dealing with suffering. There's no need to eat. There's no need, like. But then you start getting the contradictions, like I said, with like the dog or like the hierarchy thing of like saving people's lives. And then you have the question of like the atheist who saves Christians' lives or converts people to Christianity, like let's say a mega church person that doesn't believe in God, just likes the money, and he converts millions of souls. Is that person actually more righteous than just a good person who's atheist? Or is he like evil because he's doing it for money, in the name of God?
That's a good question there. Like these are very nuanced things that are hashed out during judgment. Of course, the intent of the heart is the biggest thing. So if that preacher, even though he might have squeaked in some souls, his whole intent was basically to rob you. That's gonna hinder a lot of the good that he was able to kind of quote unquote
Yeah, but if it's
pretend
like
or masquerade.
like
This
Joel
is why God is
Olstein
the
has a
great. This is
million
why God is
souls.
the greatest judge. Like He knows what's going on inside of you, and we'll be able to judge those things objectively.
But okay, so what you're saying though is that heaven doesn't it so this is the problem I'm having, right? Is you're saying heaven doesn't make sense God. And then that's what we do on earth. And then heaven's just even this God created concept. So it should be very easy to like just say like this is what heaven is and it should be great. But as we're talking more and more about heaven, it seems, or like for me, it seems like it's becoming more and more unclear and it's becoming less of a good thing. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I
And
mean,
I'm not saying you agree. I'm saying that's my perspective, and that's where I have a problem is like the more you think about this concept of heaven or this idea of heaven, there's more potholes. So that makes me ask the question of like, does heaven even make sense? Because if I can think about it for a couple of seconds and come up with the problems, what happens when I'm living in it?
well, the thing is, there's structure. There's a structure there. You're not going to just be going to some drunken sex orgy all of eternity or whatever. You have the
Well, I wouldn't
the
want that.
hold on,
I
hold on.
mean,
Yeah, well, if that's what people are thinking of heaven as being like, or you said it was like being with your loved ones, hanging out, having barbecues, whatever,
yeah, like just
the
like
good things.
everything's at peace, you're with your loved one. Like, yeah, like that's what I try to generalize heaven as. And I'm atheist, so I
Yeah,
don't believe it, but like that's what like I try to imagine like this embodiment of love, right?
yeah, that's good, and that's a good, way of thinking about it. But we also have like the Feast of Tabernacles is going to be something that we all will honor in heaven. So like, there's structure there. There's going to be a time for this and a time
What
for
is
that,
that?
and it's when we
What is
basically go like well, some people won't be able to go, but that's when you go to like Mount Zion and you honor the Lord, the Feast of Tabernacles, which is basically when they were in the wilderness and they were living in tents and wandering around in the desert. They honor that. That's a Jewish holiday, but God made it an eternal thing to basically honor that experience. So we'll be doing that. We'll be doing other things, having like various kind of like feast honoring God. There'll be structure. He'll commission you to do stuff. You'll commission yourself to do
wait, so
stuff.
it's just like so we just go there to worship God more.
I mean, yeah, you'll be worshiping God as well, but the thing is, when we're not bounded to a linear timeline, things are a lot less stressful. Let's just put it that way. So yeah,
So what?
I'm
What?
sure I sound incoherent and crazy, and none of this makes sense even to the Christians. Like they all hate me now. Atheists all hate me now. I'm just telling you what I know
The
and like
freak.
what. Yeah,
Hey, buddy, calm down. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm literally just enjoying the conversation with you. I've
yeah,
been
me
trying
too.
to find a theist to talk about heaven with for a little while. Taco knows. Like I like you, dude. I don't have a problem with you. I know this is a bloodbath,
It's
so it
all
shouldn't be
good.
like nice like that. But you know,
No, that's fine. I'm enjoying this too. I just I've witnessed it, so like I think that what I say carries more weight than any of the speculation that anyone else would say, unless they had the same experience or their own experience, or whatever. Which I would love actually to find someone that would talk to me about that. Otherwise, all we have is scripture, which does explain heaven and what it'll be like and what hell will be like as well. So I draw on both my experience and the scripture.
yeah. I mean, I didn't think you weren't. I was not. I thought we've been having a pretty good conversation. I feel like we've not. I feel like it's been pretty on point. Like we haven't jumped around a whole lot. I don't know.
Well, I can just tell you that, like, whenever I say that I've witnessed God to Christians hear that, they want to aha me right away and basically, make their accusations or whatever, bring forth their scripture or whatever. And so, I can kind of feel that right now happening, but I really don't care because unless, you know, um, you could tell me your experience and that mine is totally wrong and that you've seen God, that I'm the authority in that, in Jesus Christ, by the way. So, anyway.
I didn't. I didn't. I didn't say I'd seen God. I'm not trying to
Oh
attack
no, I
you,
know it's not
DeFreaks,
you.
that
It's not
way.
you. I'm just, I just, I'm generally in tune with the spirit. So like, I know how. I just that's, I'll just leave it there. We should just continue our conversation.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, totally, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Sorry that threw me for a loop. I didn't think I was being
No,
offensive
no,
to
not
you.
at all. Not at all. I
Um.
just, like I said, it's usually the Christians that I don't know. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know why. I don't know why God chose to reveal Himself to me or whatever. I mean, I kind of know why, but I don't fully know why. That's the nature of God, by the way. But a lot of people don't like to hear that because they have their own idea of what God is or what God does, or So, uh, the chat or whatever, like it's all good, but and I would, what I would love is if someone else had witness of God and that I could actually talk to them because so far I'm the only one who's claimed this. And it's kind of lonely, actually.
I think I've heard other people claim that they've witnessed God too, but normally don't like engaging with that. I normally don't like engaging that topic. People uh get kind of crazy over that subject, so I would prefer to just stay on the heaven topic
So,
because I don't want to
you know,
attack.
in like Revelation, I think, or is it Revelation? Can't remember, but it talks about the Feast of Tabernacles and how, even in the new, Jerusalem and the new earth or whatever, that wherever we're at in the eternal realm, we're going to be going back to Zion or Jerusalem and Israel and honoring God in the Feast of Tabernacles. Are you aware of that?
So you think that we're going to get physically sent down from heaven to go to the temple in Jerusalem?
No, I think that'll still be in the spirit realm, but I think it's a specific place in the spirit realm that people will from all over the place, that are the acceptable to God, enter Jerusalem and honor Him in that way. Not everyone will be though.
Gotcha. So it's like a party not everyone's invited to.
Yeah. So like basically, if you were not a believer in Jesus Christ, you probably won't be going unless you're Jewish.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Um, so let's take us back one more step. So we're on Earth. We suffer through Earth, and then we get sent to heaven. We're supposed to worship here on Earth. That's what kind of gets us in. But you're saying that's not even a pre-requirement. Then once we're in there, the goal is mainly to just worship God some more.
Yeah, I mean, you'll worship God. You'll be commissioned to do like I don't know some sort of work. Some sort of production. You'll want to do work. You'll want to create. You'll want to love others. Um,
So no more free will.
I mean, you have free will. You'll just choose love because you're surrounded in it. If that makes sense, it's almost like if you dive into a pool and you're in the water that's like perfectly room temperature, like not Papa Bear, not Mama Bear, but like Baby Bear or whatever, then your mindset and your desire will want to make everything that Baby Bear type of experience. If that makes sense, that probably doesn't make sense, but
No, man. I see. I guess I'm kind of following what you're saying, but it's to me, it's kind of like a weird concept to like live your life worshiping this being, and then the idea is that it gives you eternal life and bliss, and then in that eternal life and bliss, you have to spend more time worshiping it. Like, what does God need all this worship for? Especially in
I mean,
heaven, where like everything's perfect.
yeah. I mean, really, there's nothing that gives you more pleasure than worshiping God. Especially in heaven, because what else is worthy of worship besides perfection of the Creator? Really, that's it. Like nothing else is worthy of worship. So, like, why not?
Well, I mean, I love things all the time that are imperfect.
Right? And God loves us, and we're imperfect. So why shouldn't we just love the
So
thing
what
that
is him?
created us imperfect?
But what I'm saying though is like, what does him being perfect have to do with anything? Like, if there, do you
Because
worship a perfect square?
no, being perfect in terms of like he's the creator and he's the only thing worthy of worship. Because imperfection isn't worthy of worship. It's worthy of love, but it's not worthy of worship.
Gotcha.
Oh, and back to the cigar scenario. Like, you could probably smoke cigars, like in the spirit realm, but like if that's not satisfying you, you could probably beam down to a planet in the physical plane, a particle plane, and do it. And like you'll be able to access like physical worlds as well as going back to the
Wait,
spirit
so
realm and stuff like that.
you don't think heaven exists right now?
I believe it exists right now. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay. So
I mean
you,
not in this Earth or this particle
well, no,
plane,
no,
but
no,
into
not like us, not like we're in heaven or whatever. Like, not
no.
like one of those like. But I mean, you think it like is like temporally separate from this location? It exists.
Yeah, like it's called,
Okay.
in the Bible, like removing of the veil or whatever. It's like there's a veil of reality that we slip into after we pass away from this place.
So you think people or like you think that people could come down from heaven, whatever.
Do I think that people are getting what from heaven?
No, you think that people can beam down from heaven whenever.
Well, I don't think they can beam down to this plane, but they could go to other worlds,
Other physical worlds.
right?
That's kind of a strange thing to hold. So you think there's like heaven, earth. hell and then like a not even purgatory, but like another physical like earth thing.
It's almost like I don't know if you've ever played Star Trek Online, but you can basically travel all throughout the whole like galaxies and different galaxies and stuff, and you can go to these different planets and like you have like a beach planet, you
So
have like
you
a
so you can just beam down to another planet. It's just not Earth.
yeah,
Like Earth's just like blocked.
kind of yeah, definitely would be unless God sent you specifically because this is a lot of work is being done here by God actually.
Gotcha. So it's kind of that's kind of confusing to me. Like, is it just like a clone of the Earth? Is it just, or is it like Mars?
It would be different. I mean, it wouldn't be called Earth. It would be other planets or whatever, and they would have their own names and their own, uh, their own identity, I guess you could say. But the thing is, like in heaven, all options are available. Like everything, God is He has all options available to Him at all times. So, like, why wouldn't you be able to go to like a Earth replica planet and physically like want to play like volleyball or something on the beach if you wanted to? Like, but that's if you wanted to leave the presence of God, right?
So you
So
don't think like you have a body in heaven then? Like
when you're
like
in the spirit realm, no,
okay, so you're just like an orb? Like you don't talk then? Like is everything telekinesis?
yeah.
How do you choose who hears your thoughts?
Good question. I think that it's something that you do intentionally. Like you might have your own internal dialogue, and you might wait even 5 minutes in linear time to respond to somebody, but then you would be able to project your thought into their mind.
Nice. Okay. I mean, this is it's I the only contradiction I'm really finding in your view of heaven is like the whole hierarchy thing. I think that is weird, and then the idea that like you can get in without believing, because I think a lot of people would strongly disagree with you on that. The other thing is like again the whole animal conundrum of like my pet. Um, just to try to kind of track where we've been going with all, or like where everything's been so far.
All right, hold on a
Um,
second. So, like, you know how atheists like to bring up how, well, what about all the people that were before Jesus? Are they in heaven, right? Well,
yeah, yeah.
by what I'm saying, they were probably judged righteous and were are and entered into heaven. So my scenario of if you didn't believe in God or Christ or whatever, and you're still judged righteous, you can still get into heaven. Actually, is the more likely, scenario, and so that shouldn't really be a big hangup for you at this point.
Well, like, I, you mean as far as like in our discussion? Because I'm saying like most Christians, and I know you're not most Christians. I know you kind of have your own view, but most Christians would agree the bare minimum is faith. Like that's like I don't know. It's hard to
Yeah, I would agree with
even.
your statement. I would agree with your statement. Like, faith goes a long way in your judgment, right? Especially if you
Well,
believed in Jesus Christ, because He will actually advocate for you before God. But
well,
um,
it kind of defeats the purpose of having the religion if you don't have to hold faith to it to get heaven. And I'm not saying I think it's better that you view it where people that don't believe and live a righteous life can get into heaven. I think that's a way better belief or view to hold, right? But I'm just
yeah,
saying, like, I think it kind of goes against the religion in a way, because a lot of the core aspects of religion is believing in the thing. And like if you remove the idea that you have to believe to have the afterlife, which I think is the proper way to look at it, I think it almost eliminates the religion itself. because it's like, why not remove the obligations that were written by a guy, whether or not it was God inspired, God influenced, however you want to say it. God wrote it himself. You know, a man wrote it. People claim there's errors or whatever, but why not take that whole aspect and put it to the side and just say, hey, I'm going to live like the best life I can towards the people around me, and then I should get into heaven.
Okay, that's good. But if you know that you're going to be judged based on how you treat those people, you'll probably treat them better than what you think that YOLO, right? You only live once.
Well,
Well, if you know that you're going to be judged,
I
you're actually going to live a better life, or treat other people better and yourself better, or whatever. Instead of just the YOLO, live my best life. Take what I could get and still be a good person. Just grab what I could get, and I'll tell God how good of a person I was.
well, see, I don't think, see, I can personally like attest to this because I'm atheist, but I don't do that in my own personal life. Like I don't try to just take from the people around me or just like whatever, because I don't think there's going to be a judgment. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
I
but you still are wanting the experience. You want the best experience that you can experience, right?
well, it's not that it's that I want the best for myself and the people around me. Like I will personally do things for a loss for myself, for the people I care about. And a lot of people would do
Mhm.
that, and that's separate from a God concept, right? Like I don't have to have somebody judging me to do that. And I know there is people that do. I'm not saying that this is like widely held or something. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying that it's not necessary that you have to have a judgment to choose to do the right things.
And real fast, nobody on
Yeah, I
fire
agree with
submitted
that.
a super chat. They said, "Freak, if I can beam down for a cigar, can I beam down to bang?"
Can I beam down to? Yeah, actually, yes.
Interesting. Well, thank you for the super chat.
Well, you see, when you beam down, you're leaving the presence of God. You have to understand that. So, like, we talked about the intent of the thoughts. If you're in heaven, well, when you're in the presence of God, you won't have that so much. But you could go to that place, and if you feel like you need to fulfill that thing, then you could do that. But only in the you could only do that in heaven, not in hell.
In hell, you're getting banged, huh?
In hell, you are getting scorned, burned, and crapped on. Yes.
Well, but it sounds like, honestly, the freak, your viewpoint, hell isn't that scary to me because, in your viewpoint, I should be fine. So, but
The thing is, like you talked about being subjected and like being worried about people in heaven wanting to subject you. The thing is, in hell, they will want to subject you, and some will have rank over you and subject you. Like that's the only pleasure you get in
okay,
hell is
okay,
subjecting other
let's move
people.
off that. I don't want to talk about hell. I'm good on that. Like I hear people debate this, use it as a debating topic. We can make, religion sound awful if we want to debate hell. I don't want to do that. Let's move back the way we were, or the direction we were.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry, I lost track of where we were at. Do you remember exactly where we were in the conversation?
Not exactly, but what I'll say is that if you are judged righteous in your flesh because you have a good heart, like you put others before yourself and stuff like that. Like that's the heart of the Lord, actually. That's kind of like what love is and stuff.
Well,
So that's going to weigh a pretty great on the scale of your judgment, right? Even if you're not a believer.
yeah, I mean,
But
I can appreciate that.
I
I'm
don't.
just saying. Oh, so that was the topic we were talking about. Thanks, but that's what I was saying. Is like I don't think you have to have the judgment to have the acts of good, and like I'm actually I know you could be like, oh, you're lying, or you're just saying this to support what you mean, but I actually feel like I'm an embodiment of that, and I actually try to be an embodiment of that, of doing good. You know what I mean? Um, so that's the
Yeah.
thing that I want to say is like the judgment doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do good, and there's other people that would take the fact that there's a judgment and do awful and then be like, it's because I knew I was going to see you. I did it as a protest, or I did it to throw it in your face because I think you're evil or something. Would God, so like their intent is to protest something they think is evil, would God judge them as bad at that point?
Um, I think I don't know if I can. I need some scenario, like maybe to picture, because that is like kind of a little vague for me to understand what you're saying.
Okay, let's say there's somebody that they read the Bible and just the way they interpret it is like, wow, this being is just like this is evil, and then they wear like the upside down cross, their whole lives in rebellion against God, and they're like they tell people that God's evil, but they're doing it from an intention of like, dude, y'all shouldn't believe this. Like, this God is bad. This isn't good. Like, like, hey, we need to. And then, like, they live their life in that rebellion. So they don't necessarily go out and, like, sin and act like, do, like, harm people or something. Maybe you could see it as harming people spreading those ideas, but that's not the point I was trying to get at. You know, the point I'm trying to get at is that it's an
Yeah.
act of rebellion. Then in front of God, if you're saying the intention is what's judged, wouldn't their intention be seen as like, okay, well, you're not so bad then?
No. Rebellion is probably one of the biggest problems, and rebellion just means that you're not able to learn anything actually from God or for God. So rebellion is about one of the worst things that you could take with you to the
Yeah,
judgment.
but they're
You know,
but they're rebelling.
because
It's like they're rebelling against a God they thought was evil because they misunderstood what was said, given the tools that they were given, and then but their intention was good, like they were trying to help people. Like it's
well,
not.
that would be not good. They would realize that that was not good, and God was right, and they were wrong, and they would be judged as a rebellious, unrighteous person. Unfortunately,
And they so see, and then that's where I think that that's contradictory to previous stuff you said, because like you said, if they're judged on the intention of the heart, so if the intention of the heart is to help their fellow man, wouldn't God be able to see that?
but if they're literally taking the side of Satan or whatever, which is saying he's right and God is wrong, which is rebellion, like how could that be judged as good?
Okay, I see what you're saying. So like it's
Right?
they're costing God souls at that point is the thing. So like they're like in a
I
negative.
don't know if they're costing God's soul except their own, but they are promoting, they are doing what God would see as rebellion and evil.
Gotcha. So no matter if the intention in their
They-
heart was good, God would see that as evil.
Yeah, because God would basically, if you're basically shaking your fist at God because of some circumstance or whatever, and you, even if you kept it to yourself or whatever, and you were rebelling against God and saying, "I'm not going to believe, I'm not going to believe, I'm not going to believe," well, ultimately that's your testimony, and you didn't believe, and then He's going to judge you based on your rebellion, right? So rebellion is not good in God's eyes. So if He's to remain consistent in His judgments, He would have to deem you as not good.
Got you.
And also, going back to whether someone is a believer or not, and whether they'll enter heaven or not, it wouldn't be just for God to judge someone based solely on faith in Jesus Christ or faith at all or whatever without judging their flesh. But the thing is that here's the thing: your flesh is so flawed and so imperfect that most people ain't gonna make it in. You know, even though you say you have and I'm sure you do. Like I thought I was a good person. I know I was a good person as a non-believer. Like I did good things. I tried to be honorable. I did, I gave whatever. Always put others. I was a blue pill sip. I was a good man. I still consider myself a good man. But even then, there were things that I realized in my flesh that I was failing at, like certain things in my marriage that failed, certain things in my selfishness, like in my career that I didn't realize at the time, but shed light. When the light was shed, or the darkness was shed, or whatever, and the light was shined on it. Like I realized that, yeah, I'm a good person, but I'm still not a good person. Really, like there's a shadow side to everybody. Okay, so we think we're all good and stuff, but we're really
Oh
not.
no,
Your
everybody's
flesh
got
is very
good and
deceptive.
bad sides, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So basically, you're going to take the gamble. You have to take the gamble that you're 51% good on God's judgment scale, and then you'll squeak in. So why take the gamble, and why not just believe in Jesus and just have a surety?
Well, okay,
Because I
so
can tell you, I can hold on one more thing. I can tell you from from your point of view, you're doing all this good for all these other people, and like somebody's not judging you, but somebody's going to recognize you for it or whatever. You have no clue, like unless you're believing in karma or something like that. You don't know if anyone's appreciating it. You don't know if anyone's
no, I don't.
caring about it. You don't know. You don't know if there's any kind of like list that you can pull out at the end and say, "Hey, look at all this good stuff that I did" or whatever. You're just doing it on kind of like a blind faith of your own judgment that it's worth something to anyone else, and it's really not until you meet Jesus Christ. Then you know that all those good things that you're doing actually matter.
And
I
there's an
well,
interesting super chat question for DeFreak from We Are DNA. Dumb Freak, how many baby oil bottles are in your room?
Two,
well,
Gotcha.
so
Thank you
I
for the super chat.
one empty and one I just thought. So
uh, gotta keep that smooth skin, dude.
yeah, out here in Arizona, like the best way to keep your skin regulated is as soon as you get out of the shower, you just put a little oil on it, and that's the best way to do it. At least for me.
Nice, dude.
Otherwise, you get cracking, and you're like my ankle would crack. Uh, you know, because it's really dry out here, and like so you have to keep. You gotta care for your skin. So
Hold on. Hold on, I'll be right back.
yeah. So anyway, I'll say like for the believers out there, that believe in the Bible, everything that God tells us in the Bible about heaven, like the uh, the see-through golden glass floors, the window panes, the colored glass structures, the heaven, the music, the angels singing and playing music, like it's all true. Like it's exactly the way the Bible describes it.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, but I have to go back to work, so I have to go back to being silent.
No worries, no
Cool,
worries.
man. Good talking with
We'll
you.
take a
Yeah,
vote
Defreak,
here.
we can pick this back up too another time if you want. I was very interested in this conversation. I was enjoying it.
Yeah, man. I love answering questions, so my pleasure. Maybe I could get JL to come up here and I can expose him for the fraud that he
You got it.
is.
He's too scared of you.
Ah,
Yeah, he told me the other day he's too scared of you.
bummer.
Nobody on Fire says, does the disgusting nature of our human flesh imply the existence of super tasty human flesh?
No.
Gotcha. Thank you, Nobody on Fire. Interesting question. I'm sure that's the exact question that was on all of our minds talking to DeFreak.
DeFreak, are you a transubstantiationist?
I think I remember what that term
It
means,
means when
but
you take the host, does it actually turn into Jesus's body or not?
oh, I've never partake. Well, wait. I think I've done that in like a Assembly of God church, but I don't know if they believe like it's actually the body or whatever. It's just like taking
Very
is taking
few
communion the same thing?
Protestants believe that the host goes to.
Yeah, so taking communion is not the same thing, right?
It's different, but it's the same ceremony. They just have a different understanding.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I've never participated in that, so I don't think that it actually is the body or whatever. I think it's more symbolism than anything, and it's like a spiritual kind of ritual that just renews the mind and brings you back to grounding of foundation of
Right.
belief.
So the Bible tells you to do something and it makes a very like specific claim in plain language that you
Works
then
out.
choose to interpret symbolically. So I'm just wondering how you make that determination. Like when do you decide something's a symbol and when do you decide that it's like real, like heaven?
Yeah, in like John chapter 4 or 5, whenever he talks about eating my flesh and drinking my blood, he says that my words are spirit, right? So like that's when like you take that as a spiritual.
Sure, but then doesn't
uh
that mean that when he says there's many mansions, that's also spiritual?
yeah, and that would be in the spiritual realm. So yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. Like if the host doesn't actually turn into Jesus's body and the drink doesn't turn into his blood, isn't it possible that that's all just a metaphorical understanding that was put in these texts to give Christians something to hang the symbol on, and that that's also the role of heaven?
um I think it is symbolic. I think it is spiritual. I think it's to renew kind of the your grounding of faith in the spirit, because the biological imperative of the flesh is very pressing, in case you haven't noticed. Like when you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go to the bathroom. When you have to eat, you need to eat. God is a secondary thought in your mind at that point, right?
Yeah, it really doesn't
So
matter my bathroom needs. I always have God as a secondary thought.
Yeah.
I understand. But like when you do the communion or whatever, it's just a kind of a reminder, a spiritual kind of renewing of what your being actually is in the overall picture.
All right. So one thing that you and Cody didn't bring up that I was also interested in, then I'll let everybody else talk. And is like, what happens to babies?
Oh yeah, you did bring that up.
A good question. I don't know if they remain infants. I don't know if they grow up. I don't know if they have the choice of what they want to do. But it's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one.
That's very honest. I don't have any other questions for now.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask the freak. You said that you used to be a non-believer and now you became a believer. What exactly made you change your mind that you became a believer? Did you have any evidence to suggest that Christianity was true?
No, I think what I needed forgiveness from God because of something that I had done. That was pretty shame. It was a pretty shameful thing that I've done, and I went to jail for it. And I couldn't live with myself
But
because
for
of that.
you, so are you
I
saying
could.
when you did the crime, you were an atheist when you did the crime?
I was an atheist, but I didn't have any strong belief in
But so
anything.
you
Like
were actually
I felt
always a
like there was
theist?
a God out there, but I didn't know.
He's trying to
I
tell the
was,
story, bro.
secular, like
He's trying to
secular
story.
American.
No, because the thing is, what I don't understand when people say, "Oh, I used to not believe," but then I ask, "Okay, so you were an atheist when you did the crime?" And he says, "No, I was just not a strong believer," indicating that you were actually always a theist, just not a strong one. So you were actually never like somebody who didn't believe in God. Or am I getting that wrong?
I mean, I would say that I didn't know. I wasn't raised religious. Like we were totally secular American. I don't know how else to put it, but like typical, like Americana, like high school. Not religious, not going to church, whatever, sports. Kind of like your average Joe, I guess.
Right,
I
but
mean, I would say the average American is a Christian at the time you were growing up. Didn't kids ask you what religion you were?
Yeah, actually, I was not part of any church or anything, and so when I was growing up, I was kind of outcast because everyone else was. And now, when I'm a Christian, it seems like nobody goes to church, so I'm kind of an outcast now again. So I'm just used to that role
But when
now.
you were a kid and children asked you what religion you were, you just said, I don't have one.
Um, I would say that I identified as a Muslim,
Okay.
actually, but I didn't know anything about it.
Whoa,
what
whoa, that what?
from Christianity to Islam, from secular, from
Well, see, my family's Turkish and they believe in
okay,
Islam,
Oh, okay,
but we
okay.
weren't
so you're
practicing,
That's what's
culturally
up.
right?
culturally Muslim.
So I knew the only thing I knew about Islam was that we believed in the three prophets, therefore we were superior and we had the greater religion, and that's all I needed to know, that God was not three, he was
And then you
one.
became
So
a
that was my
Christian.
extent of knowledge of
Yeah.
Islam.
So you were
Islam to you,
Right? So
bro?
I was secular. I was totally secular in my
so then
opinion,
you became a Christian in prison.
No. I was still, running my business and everything, but I went to jail for an incident that I did, and I just it was just like a rock, a boulder on my shoulder that I couldn't detach from, and so I needed to resolve that because it was driving me. I was carrying all that shame and guilt about it. So then I started like just I needed something to get that off my shoulder. And what happened was I started watching like a church channel or Christian TBN or something, and I would just hear people testifying about their failings and how they came to know God. And so I just started listening to that, and over the next, I don't know, maybe
Can I
6
ask
months or
you,
something, I just
like in all your
yeah.
life, have you ever thought this notion that God isn't real, or have you always thought, well, there must be something like a God out there, I just don't know what?
I think the latter.
Okay.
I think the latter, because it was also hard for me to accept the fact that we all go through our lives, we all gain all this knowledge and experience, we all go through all the labor, and then we die, and it was all for nothing. I had a hard time
Well,
accepting that.
see, when I hear that, right, so it's a very big distinction between saying I was never a believer or the time I didn't believe and I became a believer. It's a very different thing from, that's why I asked, like, what evidence did you have that made you believe in this case versus somebody who says, I always thought there was something out there, just didn't know what, into then choosing a religion. Those are two very different things.
Well, maybe, but it's just like I just didn't know, and I was ignorant. So like I needed something that would help me to get over this thing of guilt and shame that I had. So I would try to do anything that would get rid of it. And so I stumbled on Christian TV and how these people were telling, about redemption and how they were able to overcome. And so I just started listening more and more, and that's where it started.
No, I get it. But it's still very different from saying I was a non-believer. Okay. Oh, like yeah, you were not a believer in
No, you're right.
Christianity,
I mean, you're right. Like,
but
'cause
like
you're right because like when we would get together for like family functions, and whatnot, they would, we would honor Allah or whatever, and pray. It's very rare or whatever, but we would acknowledge that there's some sort of creator, right? So I guess you're right, but I had no clue what it was, how, who he was, anything like at all. Like it just, is something out there somewhere that probably, doesn't care about us anymore and was just doing his own thing.
I just got one question to ask the freak. How do your parents feel about you being a believer in Jesus Christ, being upbringing from a being raised up in the Islam household?
Yeah, good question. My dad passed away when I was 19, so that's not a
Okay,
factor. And
okay.
my mother, my family, they don't like it. They don't like it at all. Like it was actually probably a mistake that I even said anything to them about it.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, yeah, that's where I'm at actually. So
Hey, I
they
appreciate
don't
that.
like it at all.
Appreciate that. Because I couldn't imagine that. You know what I mean? Having my parents not accept my faith, and they were like complete opposites, whatever the case is. So I can imagine the struggle. That's what's up.
Yeah, they it's so strange too because like they identify as that but they know nothing about it. I mean, like they literally know nothing about it and still hold to that identity, but yet it's really
Mainly a cultural
it's
thing,
a
though.
tragedy actually. It's really a tragedy
No,
actually.
no, I feel you. I feel you. I would want my parents to align with what I believe with and so forth. That's why I'm up. I'm on my mom's. I'm up on her. So making sure that she's good and everything else. But I feel you though. That disconnect. Thanks for answering my question.
Yeah, good question.
Yes, sir.
so yeah. I usually like always want to ask like, what's the proof for believing in something? But yeah, I
The
guess
proof
you,
of
you
belief.
basically said it's all about emotions for you.
Samuel must be
Well,
an
I mean,
atheist. Samuel, you atheist?
Well, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. So okay, that's what's
Oh,
up. Okay,
I
I
thought
was trying. No,
so,
I didn't
but
know that. So that's why I was asking why is he coming with these type of questions. Now I see you're an atheist. All right, cool. Okay,
yeah.
cool. All
Well, I thought this is the Fiat deconversion line, so I'm trying to help tackle that.
right. Deconversion. You funny, bro.
well, yeah, I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, just an emotional whatever experience or evidence or whatever, but that wouldn't really be the full picture because when I started watching like Christian broadcasting or whatever, there's evidence for God. It's just cumulative, so like it's not going to just present itself to you all in one big like magic personal magic show. Like you have to learn about the archaeology and the history and what happened and what is the current state of Israel is and like all the different those different facets of what happened and then who Jesus Christ is and what he means to God, what he means to us, and what his
Yeah, but this
significance
is
is.
not proof. This is just assertions.
Well, but all these things add up to the point where you have to, in your mind, say that this is all nothing, or it means
Well,
something
so when you
as
go with the
cumulative
accumulative,
evidence, and then you have to will yourself of that leap
well,
of
when you go
faith.
with the accumulative, yeah, you said it yourself. You have to make a leap of faith. if you go with the accumulative case of history and archaeology, it actually contradicts a lot of things that is supposed to be true in the Bible. But the fact that you have to take a leap of faith shows me that you basically want to believe because you want to believe, not because it's rooted in facts.
I mean, there's additional
There's,
reasons.
yeah.
The main reason, of course, is just to be part of a social network that allows you to have a lot greater reach than you'd be able to generally individually, and to also get the perception of like being a good person that identifying with Christianity gives you in a lot of places.
I think part of it is the will that you want to believe that, like, I also want, like I said before, like, it was hard for me to accept that when you die, that your everything that your mind learned, everything that who you were, all the brilliance that you've accumulated, and all the creativity and everything is just wiped away one day, and it's like, it was all for nothing, like all that labor for nothing. I had a hard time accepting that. So I did want to will the belief that God was real, so that that wouldn't be a waste. I like to be like efficient and stuff. So like waste, in that regard is like kind of just like a OCD or whatever, like irritating, right? So yeah, there's a little bit of that, but it's just like in Morpheus and the Matrix when he could lead Neo to the door, but he still had to walk through it. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but
I like
let
that.
me
I
be
like
clear,
that.
with the Matrix, like Morpheus and Neo are specifically taking all kinds of people's huge amount of work in the Matrix that they've spent to construct it and worked their whole lives on, and telling them that it means nothing and that it's useless.
That was a good point too, Kurt.
What I'm saying is that you could lead, like I could lead a horse to water, but they still have to drink. I could lead you to, with all the evidence or whatever that atheists deny every part of it, but it's still there or whatever. I could show you that, yeah, it makes sense. I could show you why it would make sense. You still have to walk through that door on your own.
Okay, but when Cypher is taking the dinner with Agent Smith, don't you think he makes a very solid point?
No, because um, um, maybe short term, but long term, eventually he's going to get bored of the steak too,
I mean,
probably,
long
right?
term, he's going to die. And, in the Matrix, his death won't probably be particularly painful, right?
So let me bust out my TC, y'all. Hold up.
I mean, the thing is, it was a fake life, though. It meant
Yeah,
nothing.
but
It
the
meant
Matrix
nothing to him.
persists for a lot longer. Like it's still around, 3 movies later. So Cypher's still in the Matrix, like hanging out and enjoying his life during all this time, while Trinity's out shaving her head and getting her fingernails pulled and tortured and that.
Right, but at the end, um, we have to assume that it was a meaningless life, because who's going to remember them in a generation? And I mean, I guess if your life is just basically instant gratification and pleasure, then yes, he had a better life.
So, do you think Plato didn't have a good life?
I don't know.
I mean,
He
he's
probably did. I
remembered,
mean,
right? He
I
wasn't
don't
a
know.
Christian.
Right. I don't know. Like he could have had a nag of a wife, and it could have been made him miserable. Like that's why he was always philosophizing.
We don't
Okay,
need no
You never
nagging
know. Like
wives. We don't need
right, but
them.
some
that's
people are
the
depressed.
case
Like some
with
people are
any person,
depressed.
right? Their public facing experience is not something that people who don't know them can interrogate. Even people you know well can have secrets that you're unaware of, that you don't find out about the whole time.
Sure.
So, from your point of view, then again, your salvation or your ultimate destiny is still entirely within you. It's not something that you can like really say for sure someone else should make the same choice.
Yeah, for the longest time, for example, I thought Minara's wife was just something he was lying about, and then we saw her on stream.
Oh wow.
I feel sorry
I didn't know he was
for that
married
wife.
either.
I really do.
Was it the woman who
man.
was on like a couple of days ago, or was that his mom?
No, that was his wife, the lady in the background. That was his wife.
Oh, okay.
The skater. He's
I
married
really
to a
feel
skater
like
girl.
that's a marriage made in hell.
Mm. Yeah, I kind of feel
I
for her
mean,
though, man.
that's a fascinating concept, Kurt, because like, yeah, that's my that's my truth, that's my path, that's what makes me feel content, whatever, right? But the thing is, Christ said that he came for all people, so
No, a book wrote
you
down
know
that Christ said that. That's a really critical difference.
okay, but unless you have proof that that was just a fantasy for Harry Potter, like constructed for market selling purposes, that's what we have. That's what we have to
No, I
go
don't
off
need to
of.
prove that. I don't need to prove anything like that. I need to prove how books are made.
Yeah, so that's what we have. What we have is what we
But
have.
you can't have an epistemology of books that everything that's written in them is true, right?
I mean, if listen,
That's where
what
we
we
differ,
have is what
Kurt.
we have. Okay, what we have is what we have. We have to take it at face value at a certain point
No,
in order
no,
to
we
really
don't.
analyze it diligently.
No, literally every book can have a mistake in it or be wrong or be written for a purpose that is different than the one you're taking it for, right? If someone writes a recipe book,
Okay,
you think it's a shopping list, you're like not understanding the purpose of the book, and you're going to still be able to interpret it and you're still going to be able to do things with it, but you won't get the things that the person who wrote the book actually wanted you to get. And that
so you're
with
saying that
understanding how people are
okay, you're saying that our science books and our psychology books and all those should all be like like considered
held
fairy
Well,
tales.
science
provisionally true.
books.
Absolutely. They are held provisionally true. They are constantly updated. They're constantly subject to change and problems with replication of prior experiments or rethinking of the basic theories in a given area. That's all the time.
Well,
Okay,
not
so
just that, but science book doesn't say that dinosaurs, for example, died for your sins, so we can they don't make that claim. No, they don't say that like dinosaurs went extinct because for the eternal sin or something like that. Right? They don't make those claims. It's
okay,
like
so
when you say like Jesus came for all, it's to me to hear like, oh well, Harry Potter
But he
killed
did.
Harry Potter killed Voldemort because he wanted to save us from evil. It's like, okay, cool.
so do you
But
believe you believe in Harry
but
Potter?
I mean, the thing is, if I said I believe in Harry Potter is real and Hogwarts is real, and I say prove to me it's not, you would think I'm crazy.
Okay, maybe because there's no like physical evidence. I don't know, like if there's a
No, no,
geographical
no.
evidence
There's
that
a
Harry
there's a
Potter.
train station in London that is literally one that exists that has the platform that Harry Potter goes to.
All right. So, do you believe in
damn,
Harry
maybe want
Potter?
to go
But
over there and visit,
do
Kurt.
you
Hey,
believe
you
in
trying
Harry
to point
Potter?
out tourist spots over there or something? Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
That's right. I was
Trying
gonna
to have
say
a
you.
fun.
So you have faith in Harry Potter, but believing in Jesus Christ is
Of
insane.
course not. Are you see? This is the problem with your ridiculous straw manning. Nobody actually believes Harry Potter is real.
Right.
Literally, nobody thinks that. But the point is, the genre of Harry Potter today is a book that is not a lie. It's not making something up to fool people. It's a story told to prove a point in the cultural context of a given moment. And people write books like that and they become popular. Do you know what the most common figure depicted on Christian tombs was in the second and third century?
Not off the top of my head.
It was
Was it
Jonah.
Saturn?
It was the prophet Jonah. So that
Are we
means
talking
the
about the?
very first group of Christians who got converted to Christianity, identified as Christian, the core belief that they had, the thing that they wanted on their tombs, was the story of Jonah.
Why do you
Does
think that
that
is?
make sense if the Gospels are telling history?
Well, why? Okay, why do you think that Jonah was the symbol if that was the case?
Why do I think that? Because
Yeah,
Jonah was an actual Hebrew scripture story about someone coming out after 3 days,
there you
right?
go.
And so that was a symbol, an allegory, the idea of resurrection, but the resurrection was spiritual, not physical, which is what the Apostle Paul says. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. The spiritual man is the man who goes to the heavens above.
I mean, that's it. That means that they want to show they have
So
faith in
their
Jesus
faith
Christ.
was not, no, their faith was not in Jesus Christ. Their faith was in the idea of resurrection as manifested by the story of Jonah in the Hebrew scriptures.
Right.
But
And
Now,
freak,
do you think they thought the story of Jonah was true, that it really happened, or do you think they saw it as a story that had a good lesson?
I'm not sure how they viewed it actually,
but but
but
but freak. The question,
yeah.
sorry, Kurt, but like the thing is, it's so hypocritical of you to ridicule me for being a Harry Potterist, and then say that somehow your stance of imagination is more true than my stance on imagination.
I think Harry Potter and Jesus are two different realms. They even try to make comparisons. To
What?
be
No, no,
Why?
no.
from my point of view.
They're
But
both
why?
babies who are marked from birth for a special outcome. They faced the
I never read Harry
adversary
Potter.
early
I never
on
seen
in
Harry
their
Potter.
lives. The adversary tried to get them and kill them when they were babies, but they escaped miraculously and were sort of raised by a family that wasn't their biological parent. And then they both ended up fighting like a huge battle to like overcome, appeared to die, and then came back to life. There's a lot of parallels.
Except one died for all, and one died because what? Mortimer, what's his name? Couldn't
Yeah.
catch
Well,
him with his broom.
Harry Potter
What was
died
his
for
name?
all of his kind.
yeah, I can make this
Oh,
similar. Exactly. Harry Potter died
oh,
so he can save the world from evil.
What does Harry
okay.
Potter offer you?
Nothing. It's a story. Why do you think that people are pushing Harry Potter? We're describing literary parallels.
Okay, so Jesus Christ offers you eternal life.
No, Jesus Christ is a character in a book.
No, well, see, that's where we differ. Yeah, you're my guy, but that's where we differ. Hmm.
Well, no, I can make the same argument that if I because I am in the Harry Potter cult, I have got a ticket that only I can see into Hogwarts, and it will grant me eternal magical life in the afterlife.
Hey, that means you're a hardcore VIP Harry Potterist. You probably
Exactly,
read
exactly.
all the
Only if you
books.
follow
You
my guide.
probably seen all the movies. I
Exactly,
mean,
exactly.
Hey,
Only if you follow
that's
my
what's up.
guidance. Only if you follow my guidance will you get into Hogwarts.
But I don't. But and I hear you. But if I were to go with your same parallel, if from what I'm comprehending, that means I would have to believe in you as my Lord, right?
No, no, you have to
If I was
believe in
a,
Harry Potter, but you have to
hey,
follow
I
my
I
think.
have to.
guidance.
Oh,
Hey, real
oh,
fast.
oh. Okay,
I think I
that's
got
what.
an
Okay.
upgraded crossbow for you. I just sent you a crossbow. Howdy.
Mhm.
So Samuel, do you think the butterbeer turns to real butter in your body?
Do I what?
Do you think the butterbeer that you drink turns into real butter when it gets into your body?
Uh, you
That's
see,
the Harry
Kurt,
Potter transubstantiation.
Kurt, I see you following the heresy because now you try to test me. But I get the golden. I get the golden ticket. You don't. You don't. Right? You just
I
follow.
really
Follow.
wish I really wish I had seen Harry Potter or read it to get these references, but that ain't my cup of tea.
Seriously, honestly, like I don't know that much. Like Kurt just schooled me here. He's like testing if I'm actually a prophet or Harry Potter. Yeah.
That
Nah,
same thing to
just
me,
like
like
Kurt to
the
me,
Lord of the
that's
Rings.
classic.
You know what I mean? They're like the same to me. This it's cool. My wife likes it,
That's classic Kurt
but
right
you
there.
feel me?
Okay, Kurt. Hey, look. I just posted in the chat and in the back chat a verse from the Quran. Tell me, how did God know exactly what you would say 1,500 years ago?
Yeah, he didn't know exactly what I would say. That's the key point.
Didn't you just say it was a legend as a story?
I am not saying what anybody in the Quran says I'm going to say. Do you know how a prophecy has to work?
You just
No.
fulfilled
Do you know
prophecy.
how a prophecy has to work? It
Yeah,
needs
God made that statement
specific.
1,500 years ago, and you fulfilled it
He
just
said that
now.
I would say that on this date at this time.
Well, he
Yeah,
said
they,
they.
in
So,
other
like,
words, anyone,
Things
right?
will happen.
By
yeah,
your argument,
that's what the
by
unbelievers will
your
say.
argument, then I am also a fulfillment of prophecy because I was born of a woman.
True. I mean, I guess you could say
Yeah,
that's true.
but I'm
It
hardly a
doesn't mean that.
fulfillment
It
of
doesn't mean that.
prophecy.
Yeah, but what you're doing is just muddying up the waters there, because that doesn't have anything to do with
No,
what you just
prophecy
said. The
to
legends of
be
the former
has
peoples
to
is
be
being your
specific.
excuse as to why the Bible is not a creditable
No, I'm not
source.
saying specifically the Bible. I'm saying storybooks from the ancient past.
There you
Dude,
are.
but
Hold
you
up.
just said Jesus Christ was a
Yes,
character in a story,
Just
right?
like Odysseus is a character, just like Achilles is a character, just like Gilgamesh and Enkidu are characters. Do you think all those people are
So what God
real?
said. So unless God said that Kurt would say this
Yeah,
on,
that would
the
be a
3rd of
prophecy.
October in 2025
Yeah,
at this time and this date or
that'd be
this
a hell of a
place,
prophecy.
on the internet, that is
It's
invalid,
not a
right?
prophecy if it's easily forecastable. If I prophesy that tomorrow you will put on pants and shoes and then you do, it's not a prophecy. If I make up a legend and I say,
Yeah, but this
people are
is.
going to say this is all a legend, that is not a prophecy.
Okay,
But you
can I,
don't. Do you deny that that's what you
Kurt?
said
Can
though?
I ask you a
Well,
policy question?
yeah, sure.
If someone says before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Is that a prophecy?
No, it's not a prophecy if it's
Mm,
from the same book.
okay. Okay.
Right? I could
What?
write a story about the three little pigs. And at the beginning of the story, I could say, the wolf will knock down two of the houses, but the third will stand fast. And then I'll
But
the story. And then at the end, I did not fulfill a prophecy. I just wrote a book in which I inserted a prophecy that was fulfilled within the book.
Yeah, but how could you have fulfilled a
But
prophecy that was
the
made
freak.
1,500
Hold
years
on.
ago to a
Hold on.
T right now?
According to the context of this
mm,
verse, it's basically, if I remember correctly, I can look it up. But it's supposed to be kind of a defense of Muhammad getting revelations from Allah, and then people ask him and about it, and then they accuse him of saying, "Oh, well, we heard the story before," kind of thing.
The thing is, like, the prophecies of God are they're dynamic. Like, this could apply to the time of Muhammad. It applies now. If you're not a believer in God, that's what you will
Okay,
say about
so
the
did
book.
you hear this tonight in the air?
What do
When
you mean?
I'm talking to you, are you hearing it tonight in the air? Then you are
Yeah,
fulfilling
yeah.
Phil Collins's prophecy when he's saying, "I can feel it coming in the air tonight."
oh my
Does that
God, Kurt.
mean that like is Phil Collins is a genius prophet from God?
oh man.
He says, "Oh Lord."
Kurt, that's
He says, "Oh
exactly what
Lord."
that means. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Oh no.
No, I don't know. I
Collins
don't know
is
what
a
Phil
true
Collins is
prophet
talking
of
about.
Satan.
It's so vague. Like I don't know
He's
what
a
he's
true
talking
prophet
about.
of Satan. This is what we've been waiting for.
No,
Yeah.
connect.
How would Phil Collins have known back in the 1980s that you would do that?
That I would
Hear
do
it
what?
coming in the
Post it.
air
What he
tonight.
sings about. Okay, well, wait a second. What's he talking about, though?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
In other
exactly my
words,
point with
vague,
the
nebulous phrases from
Well, okay,
things
so
are
we don't
not
know. Okay, you just said
prophecies.
that you don't know what he's talking about, but yet
Damn,
you
why did you go
fulfilled a
to my
prophecy in a
headphones?
song. But yet this is very
My fault,
specific. You
Taco. I
said
don't know
that
what's up
these
with
are
my
characters in
headphones.
a book of a fantasy of a story. The verse literally says
There we
when they
go.
say, "What is your Lord brought down?" They will say, "Legends of the former people." Do you think it's a legend, a story?
well, that's what I
You're
told.
still not
It's a little
getting
more
it.
specific.
I
No,
Look
you're
in the
not getting
chat,
it.
the freak.
think that
What
many,
about it?
many books written in the ancient world are books told to prove a point and not to tell pure history without telling it to make a point. As are
Okay,
many
so
books today.
who would say? Did Harry Potter make any prophecies?
No, because Harry Potter isn't a prophetic scriptural text. But within
Okay, so now it's not a story.
within the books, there are prophecies that Harry fulfills, absolutely. Although some people think that it was actually one of the other kids that Harry, I forget his name.
Harry Potter. Goodness gracious.
But yeah, there's
Quasimodo could have
prophecies
Yeah,
in Harry
been.
Potter books for sure.
Nobody on Fire is asking to freak. Do you think no one ever denounced a religion until they wrote that? Like seriously?
No, I'm just saying it's when how did God know to put that in the book, and we're seeing it happen right now in real time, and
God
then
said there will be
and then he's
wars
going to
and
deny
rumors
it.
of wars. Is that a prophecy?
Well, I mean
It's
it
a
is, but
dumb
it
one,
happens
of
all the time.
course.
Hold on, Kurt. Hold on, Kurt. Like, if you're gonna ask,
Pestilence.
if you're gonna ask prophecies in Harry Potter, like the point was never about prophecies. In reality, the problem is that if you make a story, yeah, you can have a prophetic line and have prophecies within that story just to make it more appealable to people and see, like, foreshadowing. And that's basically a form of a basic structure of a story. Now,
Uh,
if you actually look in the chat, because you try to equate this with the Quran verse, saying that, oh, this was some form of prophecy, but in reality, the context of the same verse that you actually put in the chat shows you that no, this is not a prophecy at all. This is just adding to Kurt's point that it's saying about fables of men talking about things from old, calling Muhammad
Well,
a
and
liar.
it's about the Battle of Badr,
okay, hold on. Let me steel man
not
that. Let me
about
steel
people
man that.
talking on the
How come
internet.
Harry Potter? Hold on. Let me steel man that real quick, Kurt. How come Harry Potter doesn't say?
I actually want
They're going
to
to say that
watch
this
Harry
book was
Potter now.
real in the future.
Actually want to watch
Literally,
Harry
nobody
Potter.
here is arguing that Harry Potter is actually a prophecy or that Harry
I
Potter
mean,
is
can we
real
talk about
or that
Superman
he's
next? I mean, what's up?
yeah. No one is arguing that, DeFreak. No one is trying to replace your crazy book with a different crazy book. We're showing that the crazy books are all similar. Do you understand the difference between those two?
If Harry Potter said they
Oh,
will,
fuck's sake.
what is Harry Potter brought down, and they will say reality of the current people.
Again, that's such a nebulous bullshit thing. Why would anybody ever think that's a prophecy? A prophecy would be that tomorrow you'll get in a car accident in a specific intersection with a specific brand and make and year of car. That would be a prophecy because that is highly unlikely and specific and gives a date, time, and place. Anything
that
Okay,
kind
so when
be a prophecy.
when
of
you say that these books are the religious texts are stories and legends and myths, that's not what that prophecy
No,
just
that's
said.
talking
That
about
you would
people
say.
talking about the Battle of Badr.
That statement is made in many times in the Quran and different
The
places.
one
So
you
it
brought
applies
up is
now because
about the Battle of
aren't you
Badr.
calling it a legend? Aren't you saying that it's a legend? Didn't you reference the
I
former
wasn't saying the Battle
peoples?
of Badr was a legend at the time that you and I were
No, but
talking.
you were talking about the Greeks. You were talking about these other people, back in the ancient
Yeah,
text
I'm talking about
time,
something that's
right? So
500 years before. That's hardly a prophecy.
I just want to say,
you mentioned
a couple things before I roll out. Kurt, I'm just based off your prophecy criteria, right? It's just it needs to name a time and place. It needs to have specific events, right? I
Yeah.
would hate to I would hate to go back, but when Jesus said, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times," doesn't that include an event?
No, you're not getting it. One guy wrote the whole story. It was one guy who wrote the whole story.
It's
He also
Matthew.
prophesied his own resurrection.
Is it Mark? Is it Mark, Matthew, and Luke talking
Yeah,
about this
but
same event?
Matthew and Luke just copied Mark. And they changed it too. Mark doesn't rehabilitate Peter. Mark says Peter's just a complete fuck up. And that's the last time we see Peter and Mark. Peter fucking up. But Matthew and Luke don't like that because they're pro Petrine and they want to rehabilitate him. So they tell a story about how Jesus forgives him and makes it all better, which means lectio difficilor, lectio potior. The more difficult reading is more likely to be accurate, which means the Markan version is probably more correct.
And the Mark version includes that prophecy. That's just all.
Do
I just wanted to
you
point out
understand?
that three
But again,
different books.
Adrian, if I write a
Yeah.
story of the three little pigs that starts with a
Uh
prophecy, that
huh.
doesn't mean that was a prophecy. It just means I wrote the three little pigs in a new way that included a prophecy.
I have to know for real. Do you guys seriously take a religious book saying that people in the future won't believe it as like a real prophecy? Are you guys that fucking ignorant, or are you trolling?
dude. He said former peoples, legends. I mean, it's
That's
pretty.
ignorance at its finest.
It's not ignorant. It's
I
spot
mean,
So
on.
stupid,
honestly,
Freak. It's
I
so
appreciate the
freaking
shout
stupid,
out
dude.
from Allah. Like, that's kind of cool that Allah is paying attention to me, but I don't believe that that's what's really going on. I think you're just hyper eager to find prophecies wherever you can, right? It's not a prophecy that Jesus quotes Psalm 22 on the cross. It's the guy on who's writing the book using the words from Psalm 22 transformed into Aramaic and thinking that will sound cool.
And who was that guy?
The author
That
of the Gospel of Mark, whoever he happened to be in Alexandria in Egypt at the time that he wrote it.
and you're saying that he took whatever they said in Mark and Matthew and Luke, talking
Copied
about
him.
that.
That's the
Uh,
standard. That's the standard belief by all scholars, including Christian
okay.
ones,
Okay.
including at the Bible college that I went to and took a class in the Gospels on.
Adrian, do you accept the Islamic prophecy that people in the future will say that it's made up?
Mm, good question. Nah.
You know, as a custodian of Hogwarts now, I can tell you that
This guy.
people will say that Hogwarts is not real and Harry Potter is not real, and that's
Uh,
because in the future, that's because the literature of J.K. Rowling will go
was
last,
was Harry
and
Potter
I
written
am
by
the
a
only
man or a
custodian.
woman?
I am the only one who holds the truth. So there will be people in the future who doubt me,
But you
even though
know
there are
that
people right now doubting me. But let's not talk about that.
Yeah,
but
it is
Harry
written not to
Potter
a
was
scholar
written.
grid.
Okay, well, okay, but we know that Harry Potter was written by a person for sure.
Of course.
Inspired by God, obviously.
That's right. Okay.
And people in the future are going to say that it was just like a children's book to entertain kids about stuff, but I'm just gonna
That
prophesy
want to be
that.
in like kids, want to be in kids movies, want to be in some kids toys, kids merchandise. Harry Potter made some. I bet she didn't know that when she made Harry Potter, it's gonna be a multi-million-dollar business. Got Muzz visiting what's it called, Universal Studios, just to go up in a roller coaster.
Yeah,
Pretty sure
that's right.
she didn't vision that. Yeah.
And George Lucas probably didn't know what was going to happen with Star Wars, but that doesn't mean that if someone tells their kid they're their father, that that was a prophecy.
Oh no, I don't believe that was a prophecy. If you're saying that now,
Right. So if you say, "Oh, look at this guy who told his child that he was his father," that's from the prophecy from Empire Strikes Back. That's just ridiculous.
But they did
I'm not.
prophesy that he was going to be the one to restore balance to the Force.
That's correct. But that's because one guy wrote the prophecy and then fulfilled it in the same story.
A prophecy misplaced, perhaps.
People are in the future just going to say that Star Wars was a made-up story, borrowing from serialized adventure stories from the
And
black and white.
samurai movies.
Right, I prophesied that they'll say that.
Star Wars pretty good. Star Trek, in my opinion, is kind of better though. It had more diversity,
Think about
but
this. Every single time they use that transporter beam or whatever, what was it called?
the
Anyways,
transporter beam, I think.
every time they used that, they were killing the person they were teleporting.
Yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
Oh, We Are DNA points out something important. The Simpsons has accidentally, because they have had so many episodes, had plenty of things that they made fun of happening that ended up happening in real life.
No, now Simpsons, they're notorious for that. I gotta
Right.
give them props. They be
But
calling
they
out some
weren't
stuff. It's
doing
like, man,
prophecy. They're just doing cultural criticism and
All right, let's
accidentally
get
getting
buffs
stuff
up and move
right.
on out.
Yep, come here, Howdy. Let's buff up.
You know that thing about the
What are we doing?
teleporters? I actually thought about that, and
Oh
like
shit!
in the future, like in their galaxy or the Federation or whatever it's called, do they have to waive a charter, like a sign of petition that allows them or accepts their fate that every time they teleport, they know they're gonna kill themselves and just create a copy of a copy of themselves, like for the
They
great
keep
for the
getting
greater good,
Xeroxed. Yeah.
for the greater good, basically. Like everybody's in on it. Is like, yeah, well, we basically just gotta do it, you know.
The guy who
Well,
operates it knows for sure because he never uses it.
yeah, Scotty doesn't like it at all. And McCoy hates it too. But he does like
oh wow! See, I learned something new of some Star Trek lore from y'all. I never knew that once they beam you up and beam you down, it means you're basically dead then and there. I didn't even know that till right now. I knew I
Well,
came in for a
well,
reason.
I just gonna argue one thing, and that's Scotty doesn't know. I don't think Scotty.
Oh.
Hey, is Harry Potter Christian?
no, he's not a muggle.
No, he's not. All right. That was fun. Gentlemen, I'm going to take my nap because the brother need to wake up for some in the morning to go and handle some stuff at a hospital. This was a very good conversation. Not to know that Sam is Mr. Harry Potter aficionado. Kirk, um, thank you for the our discussion about prophecies and stuff like that. I'm gonna take that home. And I got Donald. Was it Donald R. Mc? Well,
Dennis R.
something R.
McDonald.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dennis R. McDonald
Yeah,
for
whether
that.
whether you're Christian or not, that book is awesome. And
Okay.
it's not
Oh
written to
yeah.
try to get people to undermine their faith. It's just an amazing set of like what he points out the criteria that you need to like show that someone's actually borrowing from something else, and he pretty much establishes that And it's not a stretch, right? He explains how hard it was to learn how to read and write, and how hard it was to write, and the kind of practices you had to do to learn how to write back then. And he basically shows that every single person who knew how to write knew Homer and would have just naturally used that.
I can imagine how it was back then, with the reading and writing. Man, thank goodness I'm living in these times for real.
Yeah. It's great talking to you, Adrian.
Oceanist, yes sir. Hizzle, my
Sir.
nizzle.
Hey, man.
Oceanist, howdy. Hold it down on the Borders Gate. The freak keep believing. All right, y'all have
Yeah,
a good
man.
night.
Take care, brother.
See
Be
you.
good.
Take
Y'all
it easy,
too.
man.
All right, thank you, tacos. All
Good
right.
seeing you.
Cody says he literally had a truck drive into
Yeah.
a hole while he was debating the freak.
Oh
Oh
shit.
God, that totally sucks.
That's bad news, dude. I feel bad about that now.
Oh wow, that's a big hole.
Yeah. 6 feet ain't no joke.
Dang.
Oh,
You got
He's working.
insurance?
That's probably somebody else. He's probably working in that hole.
yeah. Yeah, so apparently, like Musashi points this out, you guys don't believe in the Force. There is this like a small subset of people in New Zealand who like identify their religion as Jedi and actually, like, again, Star Wars is supposedly a long, long time ago, so they think it's actually something that actually happened and is historically true.
I'm surprised we don't have that in the United States.
We may, I don't know.
Yeah. It's probably worldwide now.
But I think the number of people who identify as Jedi in New Zealand is enough to like tick past 1%, so it gets shown up on the data.
Mm.
Wow. So do you think they're more crazy or less crazy than Christians?
Equally.
I would say less because because
Less?
at least you can't really tell if they're lying or not because there's no way to verify that thing
They
could
should
not have
law.
happened a long time ago in
They
a
should be able
galaxy
to
far,
like
far
move
away.
stuff, like, shouldn't they be able to like move stuff and make stuff float around and
No, the
stuff?
midichlorians are only in that galaxy. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
they believe that stuff happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. There's no way you can actually falsify that, at least right now.
There's 200 trillion galaxies. Good luck.
But they did
So you
predict
can
that
be
you would doubt the
free
story.
to believe it in your ignorance,
Oh, sorry, not 200 trillion, 2 trillion. I'm wrong. It's 2 trillion.
Well, if the Force made Jar Jar Binks, then I'm not believing in him.
Well, I think that gets to a key point, right? Like a lot of it is personal vibe alignment. And if you vibe with like a given story, it makes it makes you feel like you want it to be true. I think Jordan Peterson vibes with Crime and Punishment, and he almost wants it to be true.
Do you guys think
Musashi says, "What if you don't lose consciousness during the entire teleportation sequence, as in like you're feeling your body being ripped to shreds?"
Yeah, that would suck.
Do you guys think that AI will advance far enough in the near future that we will get an AI video of Christianity with Jar Jar Binks playing Christ?
Jesus, probably
Yeah, probably.
somebody will do that.
Misa, die for your
Just
sin.
by saying it, I mean, I might do it. Fuck.
You're upping the ante. Then it's a
Misa,
prophecy,
Misa,
right?
Jesus, Misa, die for your sin.
Wait, there's
I think
gotta
you're
be.
going to see everything under the sun when it comes to depravity and AI videos. Like if you can dream it, you'll
Howdy
probably
says
see it,
B.
and if it's worse than what you dreamt of, you'll probably see that too. Is that too dark? My bad.
No, I think if people will just start having less like shared artistic consumption to some degree, but not fully. Because one of the things people like about art is not just enjoying it, but also discussing it with other people. So you still need a shared space.
I told Sora to make
That's
a
so
Jesus Jar Jar Binks walking on water. Let's see what happens. Nobody on fire says, I got a relevant question for once. Can Kurt or Howdy explain the religion and Dune to me? It's actually real and stuff, right? So it is.
It's not real.
Do either of you know that? Because I forget what it's called.
No.
There's multiple religions, but
Like
if you're
Bene
talking about the
Gesserit?
Orange Catholic Bible,
Yeah,
which is the main religion, the
it's,
Orange Catholic Bible is what comes into being after the Butlerian Jihad,
right.
which is
but it's
the
like
move against
Zen.
all thinking machines.
It's like, but the
The
main
Bene
religion
Gesserit.
Zen. It's like a mix of Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity, or something like that.
Well, there's the Fremen religion is like based on Islam,
Are
Shia
you
Islam
talking?
specifically. But the Fremen religion isn't Orange Catholicism.
Are you talking about the movie right now?
Talking about the books, I myself am.
The book, same story
It's
though. You're talking about what's it called?
The books, the Dune series is what I'm
The
talking
Dune. Yep.
about.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I want to point out this comment by Will M. I've never thought of this before, but it's pretty compelling. I believe in atheism when you atheists create your own universe and prove God didn't do it.
I don't think it's compelling at all.
So until you create your own universe and prove that it wasn't God, we got
So,
you.
No,
No.
you
Not even
don't.
close.
You know what does have you though in this is that there is like if you take a naturalistic framework because that's all you got, right? That's where physics comes from. You still have to answer to why do people draw themselves to religion? You could strap it all down and do bare bones with it, but still there is a natural tendency for consciousness or living beings because we can't really jump inside the minds of a dog or something like that and say they don't have these experiences. There's still that natural tendency towards religion.
Yeah, it's a
So in the wake of not
naturalistic
being
tendency. That's correct.
Hey,
right,
where do we go from here, Oceanus?
I'm trying to remember. I'm lost.
Do you guys
We
think
gotta
crows think
keep
there's like
going
a big
downhill
crow
to the
god?
lake. We gotta find the lake at the
There's a
bottom.
big what? A big crow god?
Yeah.
Like crows? Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I
do
hope so.
crows think like there's like a super crow that'll save them from people throwing stuff at them?
Possibly.
Well, they do like
I would hope.
they do have like funerals when a crow dies. Like the other crows go hang out and like stay at the body for a while and probably talks amongst themselves.
I
Maybe
think
have
they
a
hold
sure,
mass and tithe and shit. Yeah, absolutely.
are you
Pretty sure
trolling
Brandon
me or are
Lee
you
is
being
their
honest?
god.
No, that's correct. When a crow dies, other crows show up and like they hang around for a while and then they go back to their lives.
They do like an
Well,
investigation.
good on you for being able to make my point for me just because it's not advantageous to be a shithead.
I mean, but that again, that says nothing about the reality of any supernatural claim. That's just
Well,
organisms doing the kind of thing organisms do to form social bonding.
what that would do is it would say that. All right, I see what you're saying.
It would prove crow god.
Well, yeah, I'm just rethinking of my initial statement. There's no way we can make any statement to say that,
Actually, I
any
think
part
now
of the
that you
mammals we
bring it
could focus
out,
on.
Crow
ahead.
God might actually be the real one, right? Because
Crow
that's
God.
in Game of Thrones. Like the three-eyed raven is kind of the god figure in Game of Thrones, and so
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is hugely popular and has become a massive like billions of people enjoy it.
The crows who tattletailed on Cain when he murdered Abel.
Right. So obviously, Crow God probably is actually the real Most
It
High
doesn't.
God, the one that is Jesus's father.
It doesn't really matter because it's 100% tangential. The real question is why people do this, and it is natural.
Yeah.
So if you
So
strip it,
it's absolutely natural because people
Hey
tend to
guys, you
gain
guys got to come up
power.
top. You guys,
over other people.
Yeah,
They
go back
want to
to the
have
top. I
power
found
over
it.
other people. And the easiest way to gain power over the people is to confidently state something that you're actually not sure of, get them to believe it, and then use that knowledge that you supposedly have over them to get them to do the things you want them to do.
That's crazy, man.
And people want
Like
to
in your,
buy into it because of their desire for heroes. That's, I mean,
Do you-
read what's his name, Bruce or Joseph Campbell. Bruce
Yeah.
Campbell. Read Joseph Campbell. I mean, you know, I mean, we
Well,
created.
read Bruce Campbell too. Like Army of
Yeah.
Darkness is awesome.
Yeah.
but the thing is you can expose
There's
people
a
to
waypoint.
science.
No, dude. Do you live in the United States?
Yeah.
So in the United States, literally one of the best business models is to confidently assert something that is utter bullshit and provably wrong loudly to a huge audience. The people who believe you will buy anything, and you can get incredibly rich from that.
Can you give me an example just so I kind of know where you're going here?
The
If you
water,
can't think of an example,
vitamin water.
That lady that created the blood test, that she was found as a fraud. Like they didn't. What the hell was that lady's name?
Literally, there are so many examples
it was
that if you
Theranos was
can't
the
think of
company.
one, it's just it's a
That's not what
sign
I'm
that you're
saying.
not
You're
like
saying that.
thinking.
Let me explain. You're saying that they say it loudly and boldly, and because of the way they send the message, it's accepted. And what I'm asking is, give me an example. Like, is it vaccines? Because that's something that's said loudly and boldly, regardless of what side you're on. It's just something that we
talking to this
accept.
guy.
No,
I don't
I'm
want to
just.
see this guy.
Or give me an
Somebody
example
else
of.
can
So
take
I'm
over.
asking you.
Joseph, what would deconvert you right now?
In what way?
Yeah, so we've already provided the reverse MOA and it broke you. What else do you need to
Deconversion from what, Taco?
From whatever crazy position you hold.
So you don't even know what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean you don't even seem to be like a Christian, right? Like,
well, yeah, I mean, it's nice for you to jump in, but I was actually hoping to get an answer from. All right, go ahead.
Vitamin water.
It doesn't matter. We can let it go.
What the company name was, but Vita water.
No, Samuel, he just wants to get a chance to preach. It's not worth it.
It's not preaching. It's just talking about a naturalistic framework when we come to understand why things create religious beliefs. It's not foisted on people. People just come to
Because
that.
people like stories. Why do you think there's so many sci-fi
Right.
and fantasy games, movies, and books out there?
It's
I think
People
there's
like
two
like these
answers.
stories.
I think there's two
I
answers.
don't think
One would
it's
be evolution, and the other would be God did it.
Because God.
I mean, that's kind of a cold way of putting it, but you're not far off.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go cook. Talk to you later.
Later.
Later
All right,
on.
man. Take care, Kurt.
have a good one, Kurt.
I love the fact that Kurt asked Samuel about like a specific thing, in the belly or whatever of Harry Potter, like to test him. Like that's
Yeah.
classic Kurt right there.
And I
So-
didn't know it.
Joseph, you claim a necessary being, right?
I've never claimed that. I that's unfair. Can you just tell me what that means? I'm not even sure.
I'll just present the argument and then you can figure it out from there.
Well, can you? All right, fine. Go ahead.
Necessarily, if God exists, God necessarily exists. Possibly God doesn't exist, therefore God doesn't exist.
So it's saying that if there is a necessity for God to exist, for existence, then he necessarily exists, which means he does. Correct?
No, I mean he doesn't exist.
He doesn't? All right. I guess I having a hard time following.
Yeah, it's
I think
just a proof that God doesn't exist.
It sounds like a precept, but you're saying that if
No, it's a proof.
is the base of it that there's a necessity for God for existence?
Yeah, it's that you would be claiming a necessary being.
The
Well, I wouldn't
conclusion is
make-
wrong.
If that's the claim, I wouldn't say it's a necessity because regressive infinite existence is just as preposterous as creation, in my opinion. So, like saying, is one necessary for things to be so? I wouldn't say that. Say you could go
You said
either way.
regressive infinite. Are you saying that you think that I was saying that that it's proposing another option as it's proposing a different option that's
No,
infinite
I'm
regress?
saying I don't understand you. Are you saying there is a necessity for God? Is that
So
the area
premise
that
one
you said?
is necessarily, which is just saying that it is the case. Then if God exists, so it's a conditional, and then God exists necessarily. If God exists, then God exists necessarily. So that's claiming a necessary being, saying that God would have to exist in all possible worlds. So it's
If
something
he
like
does, if A then B.
it's something like it is the case that if God exists, God has to exist in all possible worlds.
What is that? And then all possible worlds is like all existences, all whatever perceptual things, just everything.
Any world that you can conceive of. And so premise two, possibly God
Yeah,
doesn't
because
exist.
I would say, well, if I understand you properly, I would say yes, because I think polytheism is paradoxical. So it would have to be one figurehead of creation, and then everything would have to be underneath it.
And then possibly God doesn't exist because I can conceive of a world where God doesn't exist. And so the conclusion necessarily follows in your worldview. Therefore, God doesn't exist. So you know your God doesn't exist.
Hey, Taco.
I don't. Go ahead.
Taco, could you repeat that whole thing, and instead of saying God, use the numeral 1, and instead of not God, use the numeral 0?
No.
Well, if you could, you would realize that your equivalency is actually false.
This is stupid.
I get that. I think, well, actually, I don't fully understand the precept. I think you're trying to say that if there is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to straw man, but you're trying to say that if there is something you can perceive of, which is existence, that logically doesn't necessitate God, then God therefore doesn't exist, right? Is that correct?
We shouldn't be bothering when he's playing video games, you know.
All right. Well,
So,
anyways,
yeah.
that's a little heady for me, especially when I've had a few beers, but
There
I
is
just don't think
is
it
haram.
follows.
There is haram.
I think one way of introducing possibility and necessity to people. So let's think about you could wear a shirt tomorrow. Like, let's say you have a blue shirt and a red shirt. Now, hopefully, you have the intuition that you could wear a blue shirt, but you could also wear a red shirt. Like, these are like possible states of affairs. So, a word that's used is something like could. Like, you could wear a blue shirt, but you could wear a red shirt. So, the color of your shirt tomorrow is contingent. So, in some worlds, you put on the blue shirt, some worlds, you put on the red shirt. A different,
I think that would be more of a choice than it would be a proving a one over the other, right?
Yeah, and I have an anecdotal
So it
pushback
would be
too.
shirt
Like,
or no shirt.
what could also be like I wear colors depending on whatever type of actions I'm going through throughout the day. So it's not like I don't know. It's hard to say because you're saying there's a gradient. Who knows what makes you choose a color? But I think a lot of times colors are kind of set in stone. If I'm going to work, I'm going to be wearing black today, or I think red makes me stand out too much, so it's always going to be an undershirt or something like that.
but you could wear a blue shirt.
A possibility.
Is it possible that you wear a blue shirt tomorrow?
Well, in the same vein, it's possible that I just decide to go and walk in front of traffic tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's also possible. So that's what we mean by possible. So something being impossible would be something like a triangle with 5 sides, or a married bachelor, or
Sure.
so that's the difference between possible and impossible. Now there's things that are called necessary. Um, so like 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's necessary because no matter what happens, 2 plus 2 is always going to be equal to 4. So like you could walk into a traffic, but you couldn't do anything tomorrow to make 2 plus 2 equal 5. So that's what necessary means, is that it's like set in stone, kind of.
Okay. But
And
so okay.
so,
So
and
necessarily it is set in.
yeah, it's set in
I
stone.
just want to keep it tight. So what I summarize with that is that if just answer this directly. If a person can conceive of logically an existence that is not dictated by a god, then it is necessarily true. Is that the argument being made?
No.
Can you clear that up for me?
I said no.
Yeah, I understand. Just where am I confused?
I don't know.
And what's the argument?
So premise 1 is you can think of it, it's set in stone, that if God exists, it's set in stone. So if there is a God, he's like a 2 plus 2 equals 4 sort of thing. He's not like a wear a blue shirt tomorrow sort of thing.
So if God exists, God exists.
He exists necessarily. So you could think of like a taco
You're saying
that you could make tomorrow. If you could think of putting eggs in a tortilla and some sausage. And so that taco could exist, but it doesn't exist necessarily because you might not make the taco. But God's the sort of thing that, well, you couldn't make him like a taco, but if he
I'm looking
exists,
for the logic, respect. I don't want to cut you
Select
off or
what you
anything.
guys want to do here.
Whatever you feel like.
You have a better chance of 1 or 3.
it doesn't matter. You have to roll a nat 20, I think. I saw this on the thing.
Oh, for real.
You're gonna lose. You can't win.
So Joseph,
I like politics if anybody else wants to bite.
so Joseph,
Yeah.
do you understand that you can think of a universe that does not entail God in any shape or form?
Right, that would be infinity.
So if you can conceive a universe that doesn't entail God at all, therefore God doesn't exist. If he has to exist, if it's necessary for God to exist all the time, and you can conceive a universe where he doesn't exist, that means God doesn't exist because he has to exist necessarily.
Yeah, I get the argument. I just don't agree with it.
Okay, well, why?
Which premise do you reject?
Well, because I'm not certain, or
It's based off a
let me
hypothetical,
let me
not
let me think
reliable.
about this for a second here. Let me sit with it.
You can reject premise 1 and say, well, God's contingent, so sometimes he exists and sometimes he doesn't exist. Or you can reject premise 2, in which case you think that God failing to exist would like entail a contradiction and or is inconceivable.
I suppose now that I'm trying to really dive into infinity and justify that, I can't do it just as I can't do it with God. So um, maybe the correct way of saying it would be um, neither options are logical. That'd probably be the most fair way of saying it.
Hypothetical questions get hypothetical answers.
I don't see how it's like responsive. Freak, which premise do you reject?
A lot. Like just because you could conceive of one universe being godless doesn't mean that they're all godless. It would
So
just
you
be
take
that
it that
it would only pertain to that one conceived hypothetical universe.
so you think God's contingent.
Based on that hypothetical, even still, no, because you wouldn't know that unless he revealed that to you.
Yeah, I'm confused. So which premise do you reject?
I'm just saying the whole thing is an asinine question and a premise because it's flawed.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either. It just, if you can perceive of something, then it necessarily dictates logically that it is that way. It just doesn't follow.
Well, it's that it could be that way. Like I can imagine eating a taco tomorrow, so it could be, but I can't imagine 2 + 2 equaling 5 tomorrow. So
Like once again, I don't know how that follows.
I don't know what you mean
So,
by not
but you
following.
could conceive of a place that 2 + 2 would equal 5. That doesn't mean that two
I
plus two
can't.
equals 5 in all those in every place.
I can't conceive that. Can you?
This is why I've never been a big fan of pre-suppers. Um, on both sides, I know Tacos tried to champion it. To his
Yeah,
credit, I
presuppose suck
suppose,
It's
bomb.
not.
but
It's not a presuppositional argument. It's a modal ontological argument.
it is presupposing though.
It's hypothetical.
So,
Yeah, these aren't responses
anyways,
to the
Taco, I know
argument.
you've kind of backed out of this conversation, but to answer you, I suppose I would say I'm not a fan of the necessary argument or whatever it is. Or I
Well,
wouldn't
No,
be
your
an
God isn't a
apologist.
necessary being.
If you
I
think that's the win,
I usually don't do meta commentary, but I'll just, from my perspective, like it looks incredibly
Wait for it,
weak
Taco.
that you can't even like respond to the argument. Like you could just like reject a premise or something.
the premise
But
that if you can perceive of a world where God is not necessary logically, then necessarily he does not exist. That's the assertion. Once again, correct?
well, if you're like you could reject if you want to reject the inference rule.
Yes or no? Hold on a second. Sorry. My dogs are going off.
That's all you can do is you reject premise 1, you reject premise 2, you reject the inference rule, or you accept the
No, I'm
conclusion.
not. To be clear, I just don't think you are using correct logic. You're saying that if something is perceptible, then it is the case that it is like through some
Possible.
de facto logistics. You're saying that, well, then by that logic, God is proven wrong. And I think it's silly. Respectfully, I think it's very silly. But if you want to try to go through it again, I'm willing to sit here and listen, but
Yeah,
Okay,
like you have to reject premise 1, premise 2, or the inference. Anything else is just like embarrassing on your part.
necessarily you're talking about foundationalism of creation or regression, I suppose.
It's just
It's
saying the
not
type of
it's
thing that
not
God
a
is. It's an ontological argument. It's saying God's the type of thing that exists necessarily if he exists.
come here, Blake.
He's like a number or something.
I don't make claims. I think I'll say it's a belief, but I think it makes more sense than trying to claim infinite. Yeah, for sure. You know.
But
So
the thing is,
just this will be my last question. Just to be clear, neither you or DeFreak are denying any premises or the inference rule, right? You guys are just like not saying anything in in response to the argument itself.
What specific premises and then what inference rule? You might be smarter than me, so.
So premise one is necessarily brackets. God implies necessarily God, close
Oh, I
bracket.
already denied this. You're going back to that. What was the second part?
Possibly not God.
That there's a possibility God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right. So what is a belief? I feel like you're acting childish, so I might need to treat you like one a little bit. What is a belief? It's been stated a few times now by myself, at least.
Well, I know it has nothing to do with the argument.
Well, what is a belief? Humor me.
I'll tell you if you
These guys are
accept
calling
or
me a
reject
dick
the
for coming on here and chatting
premise.
while having a few cocktails, but you're being a dick too, Howdy.
Okay, then I'll just stop talking to you.
I'm not telling you to clam up. I'm just saying, you don't need to be facetious all the time.
Yeah, I don't appreciate the character attack, so I'm gonna end the conversation with you here.
Hey, Howdy, could you do the same
All
thing
right.
except replace God with 1 and not God with 0?
I meant no offense, Howdy,
Necessarily,
but
if
your choice.
necessarily if one exists necessarily, and then what was the second thing?
Not God would be 0.
no,
Uh,
no, the premise
possibly not
two,
zero. I guess I would reject
Possibly
premise
no,
0.
two.
premise two would still be one.
Well, then God
Premise two,
exists.
premise two would you cannot swap one with zero there.
Well, then God exists.
Uh-huh.
If you can't replace 0, if you can't replace not God
You
with a
gotta explain
0
that though. Please
instead of
explain
a
that.
1, then God exists.
Possibly zero. I guess both of those are true. If you're saying like if one exists, one necessarily exists, I affirm that, and I agree that it's possible that zero exists. So I would affirm both of that.
Okay, so not God would equal
No,
0.
but you gotta say possibly. Like possibly one does not exist, not zero.
I don't think
So
these are
so
analogous to one another.
possibly 0 exists. Still God exists. So the whole framing and the whole conclusion is just wrong.
You gotta explain that though.
Okay, so when instead of saying possibly not God exists, you just replace possibly 0 exists.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
work
But
your
we're
way
not
through the
talking
rest of
about
the
Yeah,
formula.
zero.
but
We're not
yeah,
talking about zero. We're talking about one.
just replace God with one, and it works.
Right.
Why
Yeah,
Replace
zero?
God with
Because
we're not
zero.
1 and
talking about
replace
zero. We're
not
still
God with
talking about
0.
No,
you.
that's no analogy.
But no, you're adding into you're adding into it. You
You
still
would just say one.
yeah.
So you
Both
see
of them
how
have
it's
to
a
have
flawed
one.
formula.
No,
Yeah, no,
both
it
You
of
see
doesn't
them
how
make
it's
has
a
any
flawed
sense
no.
what you're
Both
formula.
saying.
of them have to have the to
That
Well,
would
how
be
could
I
like
feel
not
like
God
I'm
saying,
be
in
a
a
1?
conversation with a bunch of kids who were given logic puzzles in the fourth grade.
How could not
at
God be
least we don't
1
believe
instead of
in a
0?
God that is absolutely incoherent.
So not God is 1 and God is 1.
If you replace God with like any other necessary being, then everyone's just going to reject premise two. So like if you say if one exists necessarily, possibly one does not exist, I would reject premise two. I don't think it's
Yeah,
possible that one doesn't exist.
yeah, but necessary is like the foundation of
That means
existence.
God
So what
exists
is
according to your formula then. That
no.
means God exists according to that formula then.
No, but
asking a moot
how do
question?
You
That is
reject
more.
premise
I can
two.
imagine a world where the number one does not exist.
You cannot.
Okay,
Why
so that
not?
would be premise 2. That would be premise 2 and that
Wait,
would be
Why
let's just
wouldn't I
assign that
be
to
able?
0.
Why wouldn't I be able to imagine a world without number one not existing?
Because the number one exists necessarily.
Well, Okay. Well, you're adding. So this. I gotta be honest. You're adding to Jeff Freak's point here. Like, no, I
It
mean,
has to exist, bro.
That's why you should
That's
see that it's
that's
a
the
flawed concept.
it's
well,
the
the thing is,
condition of the
how does
hypothetical. It
wrong
has
though?
to.
How does wrong? You
Joseph
can
just
absolutely
got slammed
imagine.
by a chair from the audience. Cody just hit him with a 2-minute mute. Thank you for the super chat, Cody.
How many worlds are there in the world which one does not exist? Then, if it's not one,
But I can still imagine a world there where one does not exist.
how many worlds is it?
That's premise 2.
I don't know how many, but I well,
It's one.
it would be, since I imagine it would be at least one.
That's a fair answer.
Also, possible worlds, at least minimally, are defined using the laws of logic, and there's 3 of them, and so you get numbers. You also get propositions, so you can't imagine a world without propositions either.
Yeah, well, that's why.
You also
swapping
can't
out
imagine a
God-
world without logic.
Well, okay, but that's why swapping of God isn't necessarily being into numbers and other stuff.
You could.
Does not really make
No,
sense.
it would be like changing God into, or keeping God as God and not God as Satan. Like, I mean, it's two concepts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's 1 and 0 are two different things. They're not God and not God. It would
It's
be
either
one and
exists
not
or
one.
doesn't exist.
It would be
So
one or not one, not 1 or 0.
well, okay.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
Like 0 shouldn't even apply. I don't know where you're pulling 0. You're
but
trying
the
to,
word not.
because it's
That's
the word
divine
exactly what
not
I'm saying.
implies.
That's my
Yeah,
point.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's what you're saying. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
then you can't use the word not then, because then that would make it illogical.
Not 1 does not equal 0. You
Okay,
write
but
code,
not-
don't you?
Okay, but then it still doesn't.
Those are two
It's
totally
a flawed.
different things.
The whole thing is flawed.
Not 1 would be -1,
What do you mean by the whole thing is flawed?
I guess,
Because I mean
because he wants it to be
the
flawed.
the following of it doesn't make sense, and the outcome doesn't make
What
sense.
does it mean to follow? What does that mean?
Like to
there's
follow
premises
the
and an inference rule. Do
like
you
it's
reject
like
the premises? Do you reject the
yeah,
inference
Welcome
rule?
back,
That's all an
Joseph.
argument is.
lawyers would call it leading the witness.
Thank you.
So, do you reject the inference rule? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that if you just replace God with 1 and not God with 0, you could see
that's
how
a-
it's flawed.
All that's
It's
on the
not
table
equivalent.
in response to an argument is to reject. Well, I guess you could accept the conclusion, but if you don't want to accept the conclusion, you have to reject a premise or reject an inference rule. Anything else is just embarrassing, floundering around like a fish flopping on land.
Okay, so it's either exist or not exist, right? So not existing is a 0 numeral, and God exists or anything existing is a 1 numeral. It's that
So
simple.
this is not rejecting either premise or the inference rule, so you're just flopping around like a fish.
Well, no, because it's showing that the whole notion is false because we exist. That means it's God
In
exists.
arguments,
That's the
you have to
logic.
reject a premise or the an inference rule or accept the conclusion. That's
I
the
accept
options on the
none of it.
table. Yeah,
I
you're
accept
doing
none
the
of it.
pigeon gambit where you just take a shit on the chessboard, but it's embarrassing.
Well,
I don't
why,
want to.
Watching you take
why
a
is
shit
it
on the
not
chessboard.
why is it not logically sound to assign God as 1 and not God as 0?
Do you? Okay. Do you think that not? Do you think that 0 is every digit besides 1?
I think 0 is the absence of all digits.
So I
0
asked
is
you something
off.
real. I asked you something really specific. I said, do you think 0 is everything that isn't 1?
No, 0
Yes.
is off position.
No.
The freak. You under,
0
Answer the
represents
question.
non-existence. 0, yes. 0 represents non-existence.
No. Does 0 represent every other numerical value besides 1?
Yes. No. It's the 1 represents every other numerical 0 digit except 0.
The opposite of 1 is not 0, dude. It's -1.
the
I'm
freak,
sorry.
don't let him take you for a ride, man. Just
I'm good. Yeah, I know what
Okay.
you're saying,
Look.
but no, listen.
When you say not 1, all you're saying is 1 not being there. You're not saying zero.
Right. So you're saying it's the non-existence of one.
So that's why putting zero in instead of not one doesn't work, because that's just a different thing. It'd be like saying
But
the opposite of
the whole
God
premise
is
is
Barney the dinosaur.
okay, but in language terms, we're saying it either exists or it does not exist.
You can't put binary. You can't use 1 and 0 in binary to represent this.
Why
It
not? I
doesn't
mean,
work.
that's
Because it's
logical.
not a binary decision. It's
That's
just
why your
one and
logic
not
is flawed.
one.
The logic is flawed because
I never said it was
atheists,
my
for some
logic.
reason, believe that infinity is not supernatural as a belief. That's where it becomes flawed, in my opinion. Because they say,
I
like,
don't think
well,
anyone
we
brought up
get.
infinity.
Well,
No.
I'm just saying as an overarching point. They use that concept to justify beliefs, but that is taking the same leap of faith that is 100% illogical the whole way through. It's not even perceptible.
Okay,
My
do you
bad.
understand what I was
My
saying?
bad.
Do you understand what I was saying when we are talking about substituting zero for not one?
I was substituting
I don't know
zero
what the
for
freak's
not
talking
God.
about with binary. Binary is it harkens to circuits, so they're all switches, either on or off, one or zero.
Yeah,
So when
there you go.
you
It's either
talking
God or
about
not
God the
God.
freak, what do you mean by your
God
analogy?
or not God. 1 and 0. On, off.
Okay, but that's not what's happening in the argument. What's happening in the argument is it's saying either one or anything else,
Or
like
not one.
besides one, just not one. That's the only statement there. There's
You're
no
trying to
zero.
prove
There's
God,
no
right?
two.
You're trying to prove or disprove God, right?
I'm trying to explain to you what mistake you were making with trying to substitute zero in.
Okay, so you're saying that it's either God or anything else as the not God.
Yes, like the word God is God, and then not God is everything excluded outside of God.
Okay, that means your logic and your premise is totally flawed. So the conclusion will be flawed.
Yep.
How is that
Yeah,
flawed?
it's flawed. Oh, sorry.
Okay, how about this? How do you define not one? Give me like another way to state that.
It would be just like binary code or an on off switch. It either is or it is not. So when you say God, and then which is one, and then you say not God, that would be not God. That would be 0.
But it's actually 1 and 0 aren't binary. We just map those to the binary true and false, on and off. On and off is what it is. We map it to 0 and 1 in coding. When you look at it in any other fucking format of a Boolean, it's because you can't represent on any other way. But
Okay, but
otherwise, it
it's
doesn't
still
relate to
flawed.
Boolean at all. The number 1 and the number 0 don't relate to Boolean at all, other than we map it to that.
Okay, so if it's you're trying to find out if God exists, if it's true or not true, true or
Oh, God.
false. Okay, so God would be true and not God would be false. That God, it would be false to assert that God exists, right? I mean, it's flawed. It's totally flawed. So you need to work on it and come up with a better formula. That's all.
The freak, I'm on your side here, but I have no idea what you're talking about. As far as the on-off thing, or
Howdy, did
the
they
zeros and
argument at all, or did they just go off topic and ramble?
They're just flopping around like
Yeah.
fishes of water.
Okay, do you guys think that God is necessary?
And I'm sorry, Howdy, for jumping in.
No, I'm just going in circles.
Obviously,
okay,
God
there's-
isn't necessary because you can imagine a world with no God.
He just blinked thrice and said exactly the same thing back over again. So yeah, this is a bullshit grinder, and
It is. It's totally flawed because before I was a believer, I could totally see that the world could come about
Didn't we
as
go
being,
through
the
this
way it
already?
is
Wait, wait,
by
wait,
If
natural
you're
wait, wait.
causes.
Didn't we go
if your
through this already?
necessity precept
What
was
did you say, Samuel?
satisfying, you'd be satisfied with it.
Yeah,
It's
But you're
didn't we?
not
not. So
precept, you ding dong. It's a
Didn't
fucking
we,
reverse MOA.
didn't we go through this
MOA.
already? Hold on, the freak. Didn't we go through this already? That you were always a believer.
You fucking ding dong. You're calling this a precept argument? Are you insane?
I don't. So you're saying if you could, this is a presumption. I'm right. Don't gaslight me.
You are not right. You're
Yes, I
stupid.
am.
Come on.
So it's not a presupposition to say that if you could perceive of a world or an existence where God does not exist, then it is necessarily the case.
No, it's the fucking definition of necessary being. It's off of the definition of necessary being that has nothing to do with presuppositions.
So if I was wrong in that, why was I wrong?
Because it's not a presupposition.
Well, then define it. Redefine it if I'm wrong in my definition.
There's nothing to redefine. I already addressed what you said.
All right. I won't make you. You don't have to.
Do you think that God is necessary?
I think God is real. I believe in God, yeah. Necessary? No. I probably wouldn't make the necessary argument.
How about you, DeFreak? Do you think that God is necessary?
I'll say it this way. I think that social feedback is
Well,
enough for mankind to develop morality.
let me put it this way. I think there is a necessity.
What?
I do think there is a necessity for supernatural justification when it comes to foundational existence beliefs. So in that way, I would say yes, God is necessary. But
Okay, but that
you could sit there at that point and start parsing out, what supernatural justification, foundations, epistemology you have to get you to that point. And before I end, I'll just say this is a wildly shared view among the scientific community. So, as staunch atheists as you may be, I think you guys are,
That's not
fringe.
true.
I'll leave it there.
That's not true at all.
Yes,
what
it
is
is.
widely agreed upon? I missed exactly what you said.
That God exists. In the scientific.
That's not what I said.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
right
you
out
said
the
something
gate.
about.
Just repeat exactly what you said, so we get it.
No, it's not.
Okay, do you think that in God's properties, one of them is that He is necessary
I don't
for something?
ascribe God's properties. I think that's a foolish thing to do.
You don't know any of His properties?
Outside of creating? No.
How did you get to Him creating anything if you don't know any of His other properties?
What do you mean by how did I get there?
How do you know that He created anything if you don't know anything else about Him?
I don't know that He created anything.
Okay, well, it sounds like this isn't even an argument for you because the whole point of this is that people define God as being necessary.
No, I think you're lost on the conversation. The whole conversation was, excuse me. When we predicated the conversation, it was on a belief. So I'm not making claims. I'm just saying what I think is logical.
Well, you made one claim about the scientific community. What was it? That it's a holder belief that people believe in God or something?
It's all belief, in my opinion. We can argue that if you'd like.
No. What was your claim about the scientific community? You said like this is something that most scientists hold.
Earlier, I put something in the chat to say I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said that science cannot disprove God nor prove infinity or something like that.
Right, right. But you
It's
said that most
incapable of
scientists,
doing it.
yeah, you said most scientists hold that to be true, which I
And
pointed
yes,
out.
they do. They do hold that to be true.
That's absolute bullshit, though.
You think that's bullshit?
Yeah, that most of the scientists hold that firm belief.
Maybe it could be a little hyperbolic. I'll admit. But I think it's a reasonable thing to say, and I would add
Okay, but
that
if
I
it's
think
a reasonable,
if a
hold up, if
scientist
it's
or
a,
anybody in that community would try to claim it to be de facto absolutely
yeah,
true, they would be wrong and laughed at because
and
it's a
that's why
wild
we ask
assertion to make.
you. So that's why we ask you about is God
If they can't even just accept the reverse MOA and show that their belief is illogical, I don't think there's any going forwards, right? Like, what's the point of conversing with somebody that is getting their position defeated that can't understand that it's being defeated?
Well, I don't.
It's totally the whole thing. Hold on. The whole thing is totally flawed because the fact is you are putting your ideology and your worldview as a concept, and you then at the
That's
same
the
time say that
dumbest
God is
shit
only a
you've ever
concept.
said to Freak. It's a
I'm
it's a
serious, bro.
deductive argument to Freak.
No, listen. If God is just a
The
concept in
Freak,
in
it's
the
a
minds of
deductive
Christians,
argument.
why are you putting your ideology in the same concept category? That's what's flawed, amongst other things.
I
The
don't
Freak,
think
What is
Taco.
the ideology?
a deductive argument.
What is
Naturalism.
the what is naturalism? Okay, there's a reason I asked you. Do you define God? One of his things that he is that he's necessary for existence or something.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I would respond to say that I don't think it is a logical thing to do to map on some type of naturalistic framework onto a supernatural act that is imperceptible, might I add. So, no, I
What is
don't do
God?
that, but I just take a logical discernment at all the options here, everything that I went through. I'm not going to bring up
so
any
you
personal things because
appeal
that's it's moot and deaf on the ears, but
so you appeal to mysticism.
mysticism, well, infinity is mysticism. Like, what are my options? Do I
Whatever
have
you
an
want to
option
call it,
that's not
whatever you want to call
mysticism?
it, you appeal to something that
Tell me
is
this.
beyond our
What
reach.
options do I? No, 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 no. Stop, stop,
You,
stop.
well,
What
then
options do I
engage,
have that are not
engage in the
mysticism?
argument. That's your option. Engaging in the argument. That's a good option.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
No, I'm telling you, like if you say what options do I have, I would say yeah, you can engage in the argument, right? Instead of just appealing to mysticism and saying, oh, we can't
I'm right
know.
here, man. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for the
God works in
argument.
mysterious
I'm here
ways.
for the
That's basically
argument.
it. We don't
What
know God works in mysterious ways. That's basically what you try
my
to state.
question is like when we're talking about foundational existence, what options do we have to lean towards that are not mysticism? If you want to put
Yeah,
that
you
wild
can
word on
like
it, or you can
the
redefine it in
argument.
another way
Yeah,
and we can
engaging in
readdress
the
it, but
argument.
they're all
Engaging in the argument.
okay. Go ahead.
No, that's the answer. Engaging in the argument.
Sure, I agree.
Uh-huh.
I just think
Well, then
I'm more
engage in it.
honest than most.
So engage in it and stop evading it.
All right, once again, what is it?
Okay, I don't know how many times it's been said already.
Good
Uh,
Lord.
Taco, it's your argument. You want to repeat it for Joseph?
You want to do the necessity thing again?
Well,
I'm
that's
not
the
going to get a
argument.
Oh
different
my god,
answer.
you're so dumb. Necessarily, if God exists,
See, he
God
does want to do it.
necessarily exists. I'm literally doing it right now. Are you fucking insane? Necessarily, if God exists, God necessarily exists. Possibly God doesn't exist. Therefore, God doesn't exist.
What is the stronger argument? The possibility, or the necessary? God wins again.
How are people so dumb?
Who is the crazy Christian that pulled this off on you that you're trying to get back at him so hard that you're sticking with this flawed like line of questioning? That's what I
Nobody
want to
How
ran
know.
this
about
argument on me.
how about you give your argument for God? I don't think I ever heard you do that.
Are you talking to me or the freak?
Okay,
Either one. Either one.
Well,
biological symmetry proves design.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Biological symmetry proves design.
How?
I guess I'm wrong.
you're saying that the symmetry that people have, like two eyes and similar ear
Ben,
positions and stuff
you
like
make a
that.
great point. These guys are definitely NPCs. Like, you guys are pushing me further and
Stop
further into
talking shit,
solipsism.
Taco.
There is no way that you guys are not figments of my mind that are trying to push me further into this reality.
How does
So
biological?
symmetry is the most.
Yeah. How does it do it?
Well, what?
So symmetry is
Hold
the
on,
most
before we
efficient
move
way
forward.
to
The symmetry.
work.
You're
Okay,
saying that the
so
symmetry.
Joseph, I got an argument for you. So, necessarily,
You're doing it again. The third
I
time.
got a better argument. So, uh, you exist, possibly, or don't fuck.
Are we workshopping on the fly right now?
Yeah.
It's flawed, dude.
Necessarily,
It's
if
flawed.
Okay.
Joseph exists necessarily. Possibly Joseph doesn't exist, therefore he doesn't exist. Now I'm a solipsist.
I don't know what to do. Okay.
Well, it could be that he's just a AI bot. Who knows?
You should be thanking God that Menard didn't come up with this.
Oh, he's gonna take his shirt. He's just
Instead
gonna
of
take
me.
his shirt off.
The delivery would have probably been nice.
I think the RMOA changed Minar. Like he was really aggressive, and then after the RMOA, he's been like really like docile.
It's good to get spanked every once in a while.
That's an astute observation, Howdy. You're not wrong.
So I'm still down to hear how biological symmetry proves a creator.
I'm interested in this as well. The symmetry. Why the symmetry?
So symmetry is the most efficient way to do work. Can we agree on that?
Well, symmetry as far as like the right side of the face looks like the left.
Well, I'm thinking more in terms of manipulating the environment, which is necessary for life to survive. Gather food, reproduce, function in the environment. Being asymmetrical would be less efficient than being symmetrical. Is that something we could agree on? So that being the case, random Joe Biden dumb luck lottery bingo card is not going to be able to create symmetry nor sustain it. God wins.
I think the only case to be made for God is the fact that people talk to him and believe in him, stuff like that. It's always a belief.
Does he talk back to you? How do you know that he's listening?
That's cute. Where did? Sorry, I almost went dark.
Hold on. I'm
I don't know.
this right now. I'm going to mute myself.
And I think the other side of the coin is infinitum, and stuff comes from stuff, and it makes it
So you
when
have
you get to that point, it makes it hard to justify meaning, love, consciousness, stuff like
so
that.
according to you have only two choices: either pretend that God talks to you, or believe in science. And you don't want to believe in science, so you rather choose to believe that
Why
God
do you make the prerequisite that God talks to us? What's that about?
You're the one who made that assertion.
No, you made the hypothetical. Why did you put that in there?
Because I went with what you were saying. going with what you just
The
said.
answer is the Holy Spirit.
I just don't. I don't. This is my issue with atheists. I think you guys attack Christians and stuff like that a lot because you find logical holes and stuff like that in ideology or whatever. But when you guys do that, you delegitimize the belief in God, and I think God is more logical than being atheist. That's my
Okay,
point of view,
okay,
and
but
that's why I
why?
like to
But
come
you
into
haven't
these
really
Hey,
given
communities
a
hold on
and
one
reason
second.
why.
you know
Don't
shit
give me a
talk a little
reason
bit.
why.
I gotta tell you, that was fucking awesome, dude. Like, that killed fucking everybody. Okay, that's it.
I'm the goat.
Right
You
there, dude.
haven't given us any reason why though. Why it's more logical being God.
Why is it more logical?
Yeah. Why is
I
it more
get my
logical
thought. Okay,
why is
sure,
it
that's
more
a fair
logical
question.
to believe that God is listening to you?
I will say this is like 10% of it, maybe at the most, but it is the first mover principle. When I try to think about creation and how does stuff work, science type
Mhm.
stuff. But to be honest, it's all belief. I have anecdotal experience
And
that's
that is
worth
more
nothing here,
logical
so I
than
won't even
opening up
talk
a
about
science
it.
book.
But,
That is more
huh?
logical than opening up a science book.
A science book?
Uh-huh.
You know what the Munchausen trilemma is?
The what?
What I'm trying to say to you is I just think I'm not going to sit here and have a debate over what's more logical, believing in God or infinity or something like
You're the
that,
one who made a
because
claim.
there's not much space in between the two views. I think that it's more logical, and I do
Somebody
believe
should
in
just
God. I
cater
feel
me,
it.
Joseph.
All right. Well, he's asking me. I'm just being
Do
honest.
you know what
I don't have to get on my
the
nuts.
do you know what the three horns of metaphysical grounding are?
Yeah, I have an idea.
What are they?
They're regressive cycles. Um, Dogmatic positions. Circularity. Or let me ask you this, Taco. Do you think we're not confounded by that?
It's brute fact, infinite regress, or necessary being.
It's exactly as I said it was. But do you
Not
think we're not?
exactly as you said it was.
Yes, it was. Wait, okay. Do you have?
Do
What's
you
the
think of
discrepancy
brute?
here?
Do you think of? You said regression, and then you said circularity, and then you said dogmatism.
Correct.
So brute fact is no explanation. Necessary being cannot fail to exist. Infinite regress is just infinite regress.
Yeah. So they're not the
Infinite,
same. You
it's
want me
an
to
It's
infinite.
explain to
total
you why they're not
contradiction
the
already.
same
It's
and
an
why I'm
infinite.
correct and you're
It's
not?
an
You
infinite
can't.
chain of
How could
explanation.
you have a necessary being that isn't a brute fact? How do you have a
Hold
necessary
on.
being that
I'm
isn't a
sorry to
brute
freak
fact?
Because it
it.
has to exist in all possible worlds. That
So
is
how it works?
Okay, so that
No.
would be a brute fact.
This is how the structure
You
of
said
belief works. You can either
there could be no brute facts. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. You can either believe in regressive cycles. This is stuff comes from stuff. You can have. Sorry, hold on a second.
Here's another thing. Like when for I think political reasons, we conflate science and or religion. The fact is, science doesn't teach about or measure anything about afterlife, the spiritual realm.
Hey, come on.
So it's actually a true category error to say that a believer doesn't have to believe in science or a scientist doesn't have to believe it. It's totally they're two different aspects of human nature of being a human experience. Like it shouldn't there shouldn't be any blending in of political ideology into this
How
just different
is
subject.
everything you say so dumb?
I don't know. It just makes no sense, I guess.
The freak, if you didn't eat breakfast yesterday morning, how would you have felt yesterday evening?
Sorry about that. My dogs were barking at some coyotes. But what was the question? Do you remember what your question was, Taco?
The freak, if you didn't eat breakfast yesterday morning, how would you have felt yesterday evening?
If my uncle didn't have nards, he would be my aunt. Now you can call me dumb.
Not bad, the freak.
The freak, if you didn't eat breakfast yesterday morning, how would you have felt yesterday evening?
I don't know. I'd be speculating.
Taco, let me ask you this question: Is infinity, is that perceptible?
Can't engage with hypotheticals. Oh, great.
This is a hypothetical. Is it perceptible?
Is what perceptible?
Infinity, infinitum, eternity.
Oh my fuck. Why would you even ask that? Why is everything you guys say so dumb?
I don't know. I'm gonna hop down now though, and yeah, it was fun hanging out with you guys again. So we'll see you next time.
man.
Have a good
Wait.
one.
Take care, brother.
Take it easy.
Have a good one.
Have a good weekend.
God
I'm so
damn it.
tired.
Later, the freak.
I think the dumb knocks you out.
I got disconnected because I walked across the building at work.
You guys work.
I wanted to ask about the that biological symmetry shit.
He's gone.
Well, I'm gonna hop off too. Was nice talking to you guys. Take care.
Yeah, dude.
All right, take it easy,
Take care,
Samuel.
man.
See ya.
Like, how do we even proceed with you, Joseph?
Yeah, I'm gonna dip out. I've had enough fun with you guys. No sweat off my back. You realize this is entertainment, right, Taco?
So are you just a troll?
No,
Are you not
I'm
actually
not.
this dumb? Please tell me you're
I,
not actually this dumb.
oh, I'm this dumb. Yeah, truly this dumb.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I don't know what. I don't know.
No, yeah, someone believes in God. Let me
Did you
ask you this
graduate?
again, point blankly, Taco.
Did you graduate
Is
high school?
is the belief in eternality perceptible?
Why do you need to perceive all of it?
I'm just asking him point blankly. You dodged the first time, and then he wants to start fucking being an asshole and saying he's so smart. He's not that fucking smart. You're pretty stupid, in my opinion. But anyways, if you want to get personal, like, go ahead and answer the fucking question, dude.
I say I'm an idiot every day, and I'm calling you dumb.
Yeah, answer the fucking question, dude.
I answered this question for you like 2 or 3 times already.
Answer it, dude. Just answer the question. Stop
I don't
dodging.
answer. I'm at the point with you where I'm just going to refuse to answer any question you've asked me before.
All right. Well, don't get upset when you're being rude and somebody fires back in the same hostility. Because you're not fucking smart, dude.
Why do you need to perceive it?
What do you mean? I've been good fit. If you guys are kind, I'll be kind. this is good faith discussion. I have a good time with it. But if you want to be rude, there you go. Right back at you. You're not that impressive. Sorry.
No, dude. No, dude. I asked you, why do you need to perceive the infinity?
I don't think you can.
Why does that? Why? Why do you? What's the point? Why would we need
Why
to
do I
perceive
bring
the
it up?
entire?
You mean
Why? Yeah.
like
Why would
why
we
do
need
I
to
think it's
perceive
a
the entire infinity?
sure? So what that is when you use that as your anchor on your entire epistemology, and when you say like God doesn't exist because things have always existed, that is faith. It's a wild claim. So why I bring that up is it's to contrast the hypocrisy when creationists swing it the same way. It's the same thing back and forth. Logically.
What do you think? What do you think I
Logically.
ground? What do you think I ground in an infinity?
I don't think you where does stuff come from?
Have you been
Where's
diagnosed with schizophrenia, Joseph?
Just answer my question. Where does stuff come from?
Have
stuff
you been
always existed?
Have you been
So stuff,
diagnosed
where
with
does it come from? No,
schizophrenia,
hold on. Just
Joseph?
stop with your fucking weird shit, Taco. Where does stuff come from? It's always existed.
Yeah. Why does it need to have come from anywhere?
So it comes from other stuff.
I mean, essentially, or different forms, different shapes,
So
different.
stuff comes
Ex-
from stuff.
I mean, that's my intuitive answer. Yeah.
So stuff has always been here.
Something has always been.
So temporally, for infinity, stuff comes from stuff. It's always been here, correct?
Yeah. What's the alternative?
That's not the question. The question is the validity of if we're going to say that infinity is a sound, rational thing to believe in. I would say it's not even perceptible for starters. So right now you're trying to justify to me why the belief in infinity is.
You're so fucking dumb. Did any of us ever
You're so
claim
fucking
infinity
dumb.
when
Blah, 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 blah,
we
blah, blah, blah,
presented the
blah. Shut
we
up,
presented the
Taco.
oh my fuck, you're annoying. We presented the reverse MOA, and you think we're claiming infinity? You're so fucking stupid, Joseph.
Am I here?
Yes.
Yeah, Taco, fucking go have a cigarette or something, dude. You're getting a little upset here.
I'm just shocked at how dumb two people can be. Every
Your insults
every
are great
fucking
arguments,
theist I
and I'm
talk
sure
to
everyone listening
is
is like,
this
"Oh,
stupid.
yo,
All right. So I said,
great arguments,
yeah.
Taco. You're fucking
I,
top
s-
tier, dude."
I said, yeah. Intuitively, I would think stuff in some form was always there for other stuff to come from. Now, I asked you, what is the
Sure.
alternative?
Creation.
So you think stuff came from nothing?
I think both beliefs are supernatural.
All right. Cody has put a $2 mute on the line for the next time you insult somebody. Thank you for the super chat, Cody.
Touche, Cody. I'm sure your money. Hopefully it doesn't, but it probably will go to you. So, anyways, yeah, I think they're in the same ballpark.
How would it be
But
supernatural?
I would really.
How
I
would it
would
be
like to talk.
supernatural when the natural laws basically?
Oh, wait. No, he said mute him. All right, you got a 2-minute mute. I misread that. Sorry. And he says if you don't stop insults, gone. I don't know what that means, but
he wasn't even